The owners of those platforms have to retain data for X amount of time after it's deleted, just in case something like this happens and the court needs that data. So you deleting it doesn't mean it's gone. Not for X amount of time. Like, you have to delete it before shit hits the fan. It's too late for them now. So they didn't even realize what the takedown notice was for. They didn't realize what got them taken down. They were just upset that their post got taken down and wanted it back up. This is why you guys can't, like, play around with these systems and just fucking file shit because you go, oh, you'll take me down? I'll appeal this or I'll hit that. Those are all legal terms for a fucking reason. They can be legally filed. And if you do so fraudulently, you are committing a crime and you can get held accountable for it. And eventually, you will if you do it too much. Most of the time, you'll probably get away with it. But if you see that some of your stuff got taken down and you didn't agree with it, you can fight it if you want. But just know, if someone calls your bluff, you're going to court, brother. Oh, well, obviously I'm not going to know Australian slang. I didn't know y'all called box swine goon bags.
Yeah, the box blanks and you know,
yeah, it's got the bag in it.
Oh, that's the bag in it? Yeah. That's what
I'm calling it that from now on. It's a goon bag. I'm stealing that.
So vastly different here.
I'll admit to my crime right now. I'm stealing that. I'm stealing that. Next time I see some middle-aged white woman with a box of wine.
You got yourself a goon
You got
bag.
yourself a goon bag there, sweetie.
You were gonna get it. Like,
Oh, it's so good.
some middle-aged
See, this is an
white lady's
educational
gonna
stream,
slap
and
you.
that makes it fair use, ladies and gentlemen.
That's
You
fair.
learned
Right
something
there is
today.
an example.
So here you go, guys. We're having a look at it. This is Kaceytron's court filing. How do I make this? How do I make this where it's centered on the screen? All right, let's redo this. All right. I don't know if is there a zoom button function? Okay, yeah. All right, Court of Missouri. That's the one he showed in the video. Oh my God. There we go. I'll just leave myself on the corner there. So we got 52 pages in the Kaceytron one. He showed that one in the video, so we'll skip that page. Introduction. This lawsuit is about ending the practice of lazy reaction content that copy entire copyrighted works and purposefully siphon views and revenue away from the original. Over 7 years ago, the owners of Teddy Fresh, Ethan, and Gila Klein established the legal... Oh my God. And he's citing the fact that he was the guy that established it. So immediately the judge is looking at this going, oh, you've been through this before. You know what you're talking about. Like, you're the guy that established this standard. So, of course, you know the standard. You're the one that wrote the fucking thing. So there's no question over whether or not he's an expert on the topic. He's the guy that literally set the standard. Established the legal standard for fair use for reaction videos in Hazendal. Oh man, I didn't realize that was that guy's name. Versus Klein, and then he cites the specific case, so the judge can look it up. As a genre, reaction vary wildly in terms of purpose, structure, and the extent to which they rely on potentially copyrighted material. Reaction videos intersperse short segments of another's work with criticism and commentary. Sorry, I had to put my granola up. Okay. They constitute fair use. In contrast, videos that are more akin to a group viewing session, aka watch party, do not. And then he establishes, and then he cites the specific paragraph and stuff from his original case that set that standard. Emphasis added. Point 2, paragraph 2. This case concerns a group viewing session hosted by defendant Kaceytron. I'll just be calling her by her screen name, even though I'm not censoring any of this because this is all public record. You can look it up. So I'm not censoring it if it's not censored by the. If the U.S. government didn't see necessary to censor it, then it's definitely not against the law to show it. So any of you snarkers watching, this isn't doxing. The U.S. government says this is public record, and anyone in the public can look at it, including me and you and anyone else. It's not doxing. This is just how government documentation works. Okay, continuing on. Just making that clear before I get a bunch of crazy, stupid comments on this video. All right. Kaceytron successfully achieved her object. Oh, wait a minute. Let's go back. Kaceytron specifically intended her group viewing session to siphon the maximum number of views and revenue away from the copyrighted work Content Nuke Hassan Piker to herself. Kaceytron successfully achieved her objective by releasing her group viewing session of the nuke minutes after its official release and showing it in its entirety. Kaceytron greatly profited from her group viewing session of the nuke through advertising, donations, and paid subscriptions. The moderators of the H3 Snark subreddit, the H3 Snark mods, which is what they'll be referred to for the rest of this document, knew that Kaceytron's group viewing session would serve as an alternative, aka market replacement, to watching the original YouTube video. Kaceytron has a long and well-documented history of copyright infringement, establishing a pattern of behavior. The H3 Snark mods were aware of this fact. As such, they successfully promoted Kaceytron's group viewing session on their subreddit as a substitute for the original work. Like most lazy reaction videos, Kaceytron's group viewing session of the nuke is nearly devoid of critical commentary. Instead, Kaceytron uses her group viewing session as an opportunity to engage in public degeneracy, such as continuously smoking copious quantities of cannabis, resulting in Kaceytron becoming so obliterated that instead of providing any commentary, she stares blankly at her computer screen. Even more striking, Kaceytron peppers her group viewing session with the sounds of loud gastrointestinal emissions. That's WebMD speak for farting.
And that's also why they, just what you read before, it won't be stricken because it's establishing, okay, what were you doing? This is set as commentary, but what were you actually doing when the video was going? Oh, you're not actually commenting.
Yeah, so that would be the argument.
High.
Yeah, so that would be the argument against why it's irrelevant and why it should stay in, is you're not also establishing like a pattern of behavior of her as a person. But the lawyers on Ethan's side would argue, no, it should be left in because she was doing all of this instead of commentating. This is what she spent her time doing instead of adding context, which therefore makes it relevant. So, which I would argue, yeah, it should stay in. This is all in the video.
Unless you're going to actually put in your defense that the video was about watching someone get high.
Yeah,
that's gonna go over well.
All right, due to Kaceytron's highly inebriated state, she watched long, unadulterated portions of the nuke for minutes on end without any interruption. On the rare occasion that Kaceytron was coherent, her remarks were brief, surface level, repetitive, and or self-admittedly uninformed. Kaceytron's poverty of commentary fails to provide new information, new aesthetics, new insights, or understandings. So we're establishing that it is neither critical nor educational. Two of the tenets of fair use have immediately been struck down. And the third tenet, market replacement, also struck down. That only leaves one. Satire and parody, which I'm sure he'll get to. So she's already 3 out of 4 down, and we're only on page 2, and we're on page 4. Okay. On the nuke, Andy Warhol Foundation of the Visual Acts, and then he cites another another court case that sets that standard. Yeah, so his lawyers know their shit. Kaceytron's unauthorized, highly commercial, the highly commercial exploitation of the nuke is a quintessential example of copyright infringement, i.e., using copyrighted content to get attention and avoid the drudgery in working up something fresh. So instead of making her own content, she's stealing mine. Campbell versus Axl Rose Music. Oh, there was actually a music industry case that made that same claim, probably in relation to a parody song or probably someone sampling music. So, is that a Cuff Rose? Was that the fucking Vanilla Ice one where they were going after him for, dun 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 dun, but mine goes dun 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 dun. Yeah, and he tried to claim that one beat was enough. 1994. Yeah, it could have been that one could have been I don't know Vanilla Ice's real name. This lawsuit is to hold Kaceytron accountable for her infringements of the nuke and the H3 Stark mods accountable for their contributory infringement. So he is outright naming them as co-conspirators, as accomplices. All right. Anyway, let's scroll this over and we'll redo this page. Find a better way to do this. All right. Jurisdiction and venue. This action arises under the Copyright Act, and then he cites the Copyright Act. The court has federal question jurisdiction under. All right, so it's citing like all of their laws and things that apply to them. Venue in the jurisdictional in this judicial district is proper under. Okay, so they're basically saying that they have the legal right to have jurisdiction over all of this. So we'll skip over the legal jargon. Parties. Teddy Fresh Inc. is a Californian corporation with its principal place of business located in Los Angeles County, California. Teddy Fresh Inc. is a production company that produces content for social media, namely YouTube. So that's why he has all of his licensed content from YouTube under everything he does basically goes under the Teddy Fresh Inc. They don't just make clothing. So that's why the lawsuit is done under the Teddy Fresh name, because Teddy Fresh is the one that actually holds the license to the copyright, not Ethan as an individual, which is smart because that makes it a corporate thing. It makes it a commercial lawsuit and not a individual. Kaceytron is an online streamer who releases content on social media, namely Twitch, and resides in Blue Springs, Missouri. The H3 Snark mods consist of does number 1 through 10. The true names and exact location of does number 1 through 10 are presently unknown to Teddy Fresh Inc., which therefore sues said doe defendants by such fictitious names and will seek to amend this complaint to show their true names and exact locations when the same have been ascertained. So he's calling for the court to subpoena Reddit to get their identities. So he wants the identities of the H3 Snark mods. He's going directly after them too. Below is a summary of what is known about does number 1 through 6. Doe number 1 is a female, the founder of H3 Snark, and one of the H3 Snark mods. She previously used the Reddit username Ozempic Dealer, Jesus Christ, which doe number 1 subsequently deleted. Her last post using this handle was on February 12th, 2025. Doe number 1 also uses the Discord name Yogi Bear X and the screen name Paris Hilton. Jesus Christ. Okay, Ethan's about to fuck them harder than Anissa fucks Ian. Dude, that's why he's like, I mean, he's not wrong. They are co-conspirators, but this has the added bonus of exposing the H3 Snark mods individually. I thought he was just going to go after like Reddit as a whole and get it shut down. He's going after the individual mods. He wants their real names and addresses. No more hiding behind screen names and trying to harass him. And yeah. Oh, that no wonder the H3 Snark is like crashing out and shitting their pants, man. Subpoenas are coming their fucking way. Reddit's going to give up their information, because if the court subpoenas Reddit as a whole, the whole site, and says, hey, we need to know the identity of these users, they have to give it to them. And there's nothing these users can do. They can delete their pages. They can try to delete their history. Reddit's already got all that. Like, it's stored somewhere. And the law states that they have to, that there's a Data Retention Act. So if you delete something from the internet, if you delete it from a website, if you delete it from Facebook, you delete it from social media, it doesn't matter if you use redact.dev or a service that deletes it for you, the owners of those platforms have to retain data for X amount of time after it's deleted, just in case something like this happens and the court needs that data. So you deleting it doesn't mean it's gone. Not for X amount of time. Like, you have to delete it before shit hits the fan. It's too late for them now. If the court wants that information from Reddit, they are going to get it. Doe number 2 is female, resides in Canada, and is the head moderator of the H3 Snark mods. Doe number 2 currently uses the following Reddit usernames. Go to the next page. Sorry, I got to keep going back and forth with this, because I don't have a good setup for reading documents like this. So we'll just be going back and forth. Okay. All right. Username H3 Snark Mod Team. Oh, so that's just her username. She admits she's Snark Mod Team. Username number 2. She has multiple. Roman P. Username number 3. Right_salamander. Currently idle. Previously, Doe number 2 used the following name. So they're given every name she's ever used, which were either deleted by Doe number 2 or suspended by Reddit for violating its policies. Cav2 is deleted. H3 Snark Mod Team 3 is deleted. Wrong Salamander, instead of the right one, it's deleted. Right Salamander with an extra R, suspended. Pure Press, suspended. Kitchen Mukbang Star, deleted. Jesus, like, what are you doing on Reddit to just go through name after name after name? Yeah, this is going to make them look malicious as fuck, too, because the judge is going to go, Jesus Christ, how many times is this person? Oh, my God. Yeah, this is all going to look targeted and malicious, which is the point.
And they will go, and they will most likely get from Reddit, okay, why was this person or this account deleted or suspended?
Well, deleted means the user chose to delete their account, but suspended means Reddit suspended. So you could go after the ones that are suspended. It looks like there's 2 that are suspended.
Why were they suspended? And
yeah.
This, we need to build a case for relevance.
Yeah, well, yeah, we need to establish a pattern of behavior for this individual so we can say what they're, so, and then you can subpoena their current accounts to see what those accounts are doing, and subpoena what the suspended accounts are doing and why they were suspended to establish a pattern of behavior. Absolutely. On Discord, Doe number 2 uses the screen names Sally and All iTurn. Doe number 3 began as a user of H3 Snark and was subsequently made a mod. Initially, Doe number 3 used the username Sarah Horn Jewitz. Oh, and she has an anti-Semitic name. Cool. Which she has deleted. After deleting this account, Doe number 3 uses the Reddit name Jewett Sarah Horn. So you just rearrange the words. It's still okay. Doe number 4 uses the account name on Discord Roswellum. Doe number 5 is male, so John Doe, not Jane Doe. Doe number 5 is male and goes by the name Tony. Doe number 5 was made an H3 Snark mod. His account name on Discord is Frompu. Doe number 6 was made an H3 Snark mod. Doe number 6 account name on Discord is no_reception. Does number 7 through 10 are the remaining H3 Snark mods, so they don't know their identities. So that's further going to entice the court to subpoena Reddit, because now you've got unnamed individuals in this court case. Not like unnamed in any shape, form, or fashion. No screen name, no alias, no nothing. So that's going to make them want to subpoena them to get that. Background of Teddy Fresh Inc. Teddy Fresh Inc. was founded in 2016 by Ethan and Hila Klein. The Kleins rose to prominence on YouTube with 2 channels, H3H3 Productions, which is their primary channel, and Ethan and Hila, their secondary channel. The Kleins created highly stylized reaction content to other YouTube videos. The Kleins reaction videos intersperse relatively short segments. So they're establishing the fact that we also do reaction content. So it's not, so they're establishing that they're also guilty of doing reaction content, and they're establishing the difference between what we do and what you do, and why what we do is okay, that there's a right and a wrong way to do this. They're not taking, this is why the Dark Viper approach didn't work, because Dark Viper took the approach that all reaction content is theft and nothing is okay, and that's not how it works. There's nuance to this shit. And the minute you go to that extreme and go, everything's bad, no one listens to you or takes you seriously anymore. Did Dark Viper have some decent arguments in his videos against Willie Mack for fair use, which we covered on this channel? They're long and autistic. Yeah, he had some good points. But the problem is he'd start with a good point and then he'd take it to this ridiculously like Looney Tunes level comical extreme that people, like, it just undercut the original point and no one listened to it. Because, like, he at one point compared reaction channels to rapists, and that they're raping his content, that they're the same. And that's ridiculous, obviously. Like, I'm pretty sure if you put a gun to anyone's head and you're like, hey, you got 2 choices. I can react to your videos, I can rape you. Which way do you want to be raped? And no one's picking the regular rape, okay? Like, that's just ridiculous. So that's why Dark Viper AU got fucking just laughed completely out of that conversation. But anyway, going back, they intersperse relatively short segments of the original work with long segments of the Klein's commentary. So basically they're saying that more of our commentary was in the video than was the original work. That the content, that if you're looking at their videos as a whole, it's more them than the content they're reacting to. So it's more focused on them, which is the point. And then he cites the case that he won that set that standard. So there's no argument there. What they did has already been proven in court to be okay. After Teddy Fresh Inc. was established, the Kleins assigned both channels to Teddy Fresh Inc. So the corporation now owns both the channels. In 2016, the Kleins were sued for copyright infringement, defamation, and misrepresentation under 17 U.S.C. Section 512F by Matt Hosendash, Matt Hoss, the bald guy. Oh, so that's his YouTube channel, the bald guy, Matt Hoss. The copyright claim concerned a reaction to a video uploaded to their Ethan and Hila YouTube channel. The video, entitled The Big, the Bold, the Beautiful, was a critical and humorous reaction to Matt's bald guy versus parkour girl. As the court explained during that case, the Klein video opens with commentary and discussion between him and his wife, followed by segments of Haas, which they play, stop, and continue to comment and criticize on. The Klein, which is almost 14 minutes long, intersperses relatively short segments of Haas with long segments of Klein's commentary, ultimately using 3 minutes and 15 seconds of the 5-minute, 24-second long Haas video. So they didn't even use his full video. They only used about 3 minutes of it, about 75%. And they didn't even show that all in one go. It was intercut throughout a 15-minute long, throughout a video that was 3 times the length of the original video itself. The video of Ethan's is harshly critical of Haas and includes mockery of him, of his performance, and what the Kleins consider unrealistic dialogue and plot lines. In addition, the defendant's commentary refers to Haas as quasi-pornographic and reminiscent of a cringe tube genre of YouTube, known for cringeworthy sexual content. As critical as it is, the Ethan's video is roughly equivalent to the kind of commentary and criticism of a creative work that might occur in a film studies class. Or you could also say that it's actually occurred in other media, such as TV shows like Mystery Science Theater 3000. Beavis and Butthead would notoriously do this during music videos where Beavis and Butthead watch the entirety of the video and laugh and comment over it. So reaction content is not new to the internet. This has been around a very long time and will continue to be around for a very long time after. Fair use exists for a reason. Back in the day before the internet, you had you had movie review shows like Roger Ebert. You had shows like Mystery Science Theater 3000, obviously Beavis and Butthead. Then you get clip shows like Tosh.0, The Soup. The entire E channel where they just react to things and have a bunch of shows like that. Yeah, so this is not new shit, which the judge clearly understood and agreed with Ethan on. On August, the court granted summary judgment for Ethan on all claims. For the copyrighted infringement claim, the court found that the video made by Ethan is of fair use to Haas. In 2017, Teddy Fresh Inc. established the H3 podcast channel on YouTube. On the new channel, Teddy Fresh Inc. produced podcast episodes that were less structured than the reaction stuff. I'm obviously reading this in a different way because it's very wordy. So I'm trying to make it a little more digestible. Declines than the reaction stuff the clients had previously made. To ensure any use of unlicensed, copyrighted content qualified as fair use, Teddy Fresh Inc. formulated and refined best practices based on principles. So they even wrote up guidelines for their company when producing their content that made sure that they were within the fair use standard that they themselves previously set in a court of law. Oh my God. Next page. He is right. This is very substantial. There'll probably be sections of this that we'll skip. I feel like we should probably be skipping the background stuff, because I feel like we all already know that. But I'll go over it. If it gets too in the weeds, then we'll go over it, blah, blah, blah. They included whenever feasible. Oh, okay. So we get to see the guidelines for how H3 would produce its podcast and its work after winning that lawsuit. The guidelines were, number one, whenever feasible, presenting the original work and outlining the criticism and commentary before the broadcast, which you can see all of this play out on their podcast. He does a preamble to tell you what you're about to watch, and he outlines why they're watching it. Number two, ensuring the commentary was directly related to the style and or substance of the original work. In other words, he matches their energy, which he'll make the same kind of jokes that they make. Yeah, that's all in the podcast. You can still see that. Number three, only broadcasting the portion of the original work that would be subject to critique. They rarely watch full videos on their podcast, unless it's like a really short one, like 2 or 3 minutes long. They have watched full videos before, like they watched the entirety of iDubbbz's content cop on him. But you could argue that anything that Ethan does to react to that is relevant because he is the subject of the video he's reacting to. Number four, pausing the original work frequently to provide critique. And number five, ensuring that the duration of the commentary was substantially longer than the portion of the original work shown immediately before the commentary. So I'm going to remember these guidelines. I can't just, okay, there we go. I'm going to remember these guidelines, and they were going to be applied to my own channel. I'll be posting those in the Discord as a, hey, this is how we do things here, because this is literally written out in a court of law as how this should happen by the man who set the precedent. So I don't got to worry about getting sued by Ethan, guys. I'm following his own rules. There we go. All right. Kaceytron. So we're a little background on Kaceytron, which I feel is relevant because a lot of people, especially younger viewers, don't know who the fuck Kaceytron is. You guys have seen what she looks like in the video where he announced he's suing them, and he shows her taking the 42 bong rips and all that stuff, and you'll probably see pictures of her in here. I'm gonna blow the mind of all you Gen Zers out there, of all you younger viewers, when I say that Kaceytron, if you can believe it, back in the day when she first started, she was one of the most popular female streamers on Twitch and was actually considered somewhat of a sex symbol. Okay, she was an e-girl that guys used to goon over. So all you incels out there who are looking at somebody like Denims, they don't stay like that forever, man. Okay? All right, looks fade. And sometimes they become train wrecks, like Kaceytron. So just keep that in mind, that if that's the reason you're watching their content, it has a shelf life. You should be watching them, for their actual work, not for what they look like. Okay, just side tangent there. All right, number 17. Kaceytron has been streaming for over a decade. She has amassed approximately 540,000 followers on Twitch, her streaming platform of choice. Kaceytron is not known for her intellectual acumen or analytical prowess. She's an idiot. Translation, legal speak for this bitch is stupid. Despite desperately wanting to be taken seriously by the alt-left online commentary community, Kaceytron's claim to fame is her public acts of degeneracy. She used to be an e-girl, and brazen acts of copyright infringement. She would actually watch movies and TV shows, which I'm sure that they will cite here. Kaceytron streams comprise of her watching unlicensed third-party content while smoking copious quantities of cannabis. He keeps throwing that in there. And impersonating, albeit unintentionally, the cartoon character Beavis and Butthead. Oh my god. He actually does reference Beavis and Butthead. And she's unintentionally impersonating him. So he's basically saying she's a real life Beavis and Butthead. The judge will get that reference. I promise you he'll get that one.
I don't know, depending on how old the judge is.
I feel like white women age the worst. I mean, black don't crack, but y'all have seen my wife. But the Kaceytron isn't because white woman. That's what just decades of drug use will do to you. And it doesn't matter which drugs. Some will do worse than others. Weed's probably the least, the one that'll do the least. But Kaceytron is proof that, yeah, smoking pot will still have an effect on the body. And it will put a strain on the body. And it will turn you into that. And you will not age well. They can scream all they want about it being all natural. And it's not addictive. It's just a plant, man. It's just like a herb, man. Potheads can cope all the fuck that they want. Check back in on them when they're fucking 30, when they're fucking 40. They will look like they're 60 and 70. They will. You don't age well when you're on drugs. I've done no drugs. None of you will ever guess my age. So, anyway, back to this. And you can try to pull up clips of me saying my age on stream all you fucking want. I give a different number every time someone asks me. None of which have ever been the real number. All right. Anyway. Sometimes Kaceytron is not even conscious while streaming her unlicensed third-party content. The most famous example occurred in June 2023 during one of her subathons, i.e., and then he explains what a subathon is to the judge, because remember, the judge isn't terminally online. He might not know what all this terminology means. A subathon is a streaming marathon to acquire more paying subscribers. So he's what I would have equated it to there for the judge, because this judge is more than likely a very old man, as I would equate it to the modern day version of like a telethon, where, you know, they used to do that as fundraisers on TV, where you'd see this wall of people lined up in front of telephones and people would call a 1-800 number to make donations. And then they'd put on a show and something to keep people entertained while they frequently interrupt the show to ask you, hey, dial the number at the bottom of your screen and make a donation. That's the same general idea. During the summit-thon, Kaceytron streamed entire episodes of the television show Kitchen Nightmares while passed out. So she slept through it. Yeah, this is going to be an incredibly terrible look for her as far as the judge is concerned. Holy shit. And yeah, there's clips of all this stuff to back it up, so he knows he's not lying. I do not foresee the judge going kind on her. Hers is definitely done. She is beyond cooked. Now, we'll read through the other ones on another night. This is probably going to be the rest of the content for tonight, guys. But we'll read through the other ones to see if any of them fare any better. Kaceytron, we're only on page 8, and she's already... I already don't foresee the judge being friendly to her. I'm at least 40? Why do you think I'm at least 40? What, because I got kids? People have kids at early ages. My kids are only 10 years old. I could have had them when I was 19. I could be 29. Could have had them when I was 20. I could be 30. Could have had them when I was 15. I could be 25. You don't know. She was passed out from her overzealous consumption of cannabis. On June 25th, 2023, Kaceytron was temporarily banned on Twitch due to her chronic copyright infringement. So you've established that she's gotten in trouble for it. This is not her first offense. She has actually faced consequences for this in the past, meaning she should have known better. When the ban became public, Kaceytron posted the following on Twitter: "And I'll do it again." And then he puts in parentheses original spelling so that he doesn't get blamed for her bad grammar. "And I'll do it again." So she's admitting to the crime, she got in trouble for the crime, and admits she will continue to do said crime. "Yeah, I killed, and you let me out of here, I kill again." God damn it. She's cooked, man. She is beyond cooked. We're only on page 8, and the judge, I can already see the judge having to read all 52 pages of this like we're about to do, and being like, we're only on page 8, and I already want to throw the book at this person. Holy shit. H3 Snark, explaining what H3 Snark is to a boomer who's going to be deciding this case. H3 Snark is a genre of message boards known as a subreddit on the website Reddit. Snark subreddits comprised of fallen fans of a particular entertainer. Over time, there have been numerous snark subs regarding our podcast and the Kleins. Many were banned by Reddit for violating their content policies, such as Frenemies and Frenemies 2. H3 Snark was created on August 30th, 2023 by Doe Number 1, who was a fanatical Trisha Paytas, herein known as just Trisha, fan. Doe Number 1 became a falling fan when our series Frenemies, which was co-hosted by Ethan and Trisha, ended abruptly on June 2021. H3 Snark became a haven for fallen fans of our podcast and the Kleins. While the average viewer would move on with their lives after becoming disinterested in a podcast, H3 Snark's falling fans religiously watch our content with orgiastic hatred. I would have used enthusiastic, but orgiastic, like orgasm. That is a word I've never heard before. No, wait, go back. I guess I gotta. Okay, it's really hard to highlight words on this. I'll have to Google that later. All right, I don't know what that word means. I'm assuming it means one level above enthusiastic. All right. H3 Snark enables these deranged and chronically unemployed fallen fans to share their perverse pleasure of hate watching our content with others by providing infringing clips and links to our content. Beginning in the fall of 2023, H3 Snark experienced a surge of users who... Going to the next page. Ugh, I gotta get faster at doing this. I know this is a terrible way to present this content, but it's formatted weird and I don't know how else to do it. Alright. What was the last sentence there that we just read? Beginning in the fall of 2023, H3 Snark experienced a surge of users who were fallen fans of our series, Leftovers. The show was co-hosted by Ethan and the most prominent alt-left streamer on the website Twitch, Hassan Piker, aka Hassanabi, known from here on out as just Hassan. On September 14th, 2023, Ethan and Hassan debated various issues concerning China and Taiwan, such as whether Taiwan should be independent, the property the property of China's subjugation to Tibet, and the genocide of the Uyghurs. Due to Ethan pushing back on Hassan's pro-China positions, several Leftovers fans who had ecclesiastical parasocial relationships with Hassan flocked to H3 Snark because they felt Ethan was critiquing them personally. So he's establishing the parasocial relationship between Hassan's fans and Hassan. And yes, establishing that they are unemployed, which he probably could have left that part out because the judge, they may actually object to that one because the judge will be like, how do you know these anonymous users are unemployed? I mean, you could argue based on the amount of time they spend on the website, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're unemployed. They could just be, doing it while they're at work. They could be on disability, which would mean they're unemployable. They could be underaged, so they don't have jobs. They could be students. There's a lot of reasons they couldn't be unemployed. Throwing that little extra jab in there was probably unnecessary, but we'll see how the judge takes it. The surge of new users exploded after October 7th, 2023. The Kleins are dual Israel-American citizens. So he's establishing that they have ties to Israel. They're not just like all the other, like your Tim Pools and your Destinies and all these other creators who talk endlessly about politics and countries they're never going to go to. Well, not never going to go to. Destiny did actually go over there. Tim Pool is never going to go there. Anyway. Hila was born and raised in Israel, where she served as a secretary during her mandatory conscription into the IDF. While both Ethan and Hila are highly supportive of Palestinian self-discrimination and extremely critical of Israel and its government, the Klein support of a two-state solution as the best solution to the conflict, which is where their disagreement was, the two-state solution thing. Basically, Ethan thinks that Israel should still have the right to exist, that they just need to behave differently, where Hassan and his parasocial cult, they're not fans, I'm calling them a cult, that they are all about the destruction of Israel, that it needs to be wiped off the map. In the wake of October the 7th, Hassan emerged as the modern incarnation of the Grand Mutif Hajim Amin al-Sanam al-Husseini. That's just what I'm going to call it. Like al-Husseini, Hassan became a... And we need to redo this again. Just going to do it that way. So we can just go back and forth. Maybe that'll help you a little bit. Hassan became a passionate advocate and highly charismatic leader of the Palestinian cause. He grifted. He found his profitable grift, and he has stuck with it ever since. I'm calling it a grift. I don't believe he actually cares about this shit. None of his actions match his words. I would die on that hill. Like al-Husseini, Hassan used his massive platform. Massive? Massive platform? Okay. Used his massive platform to spread genocidal rhetoric about anyone advocating for the right of Jewish self-destruction in their ancestral homeland, i.e. Zionist. So he's basically inserting in a very legalese way the fact that they use the word Zionist to mean Jew. The primary difference between Hassan and al-Husseini is that al-Husseini worked with the Nazis and advocated the annihilation of Jews, while Hassan advocates for the annihilation of all Zionists, which he just defined Zionist above you as the right of Jewish self-determination. So basically, self-identifying Jew. Okay. So it still means Jewish. Since the vast majority of Jews in the United States say caring about Israel is essential or important, this would necessarily include the vast majority of Jews. And then he just outright explains why. Even if they support the... Oh, you got pictures and stuff on it this time. Okay. Damn it. That's right, I gotta scroll it first. Okay. Even if they support the Palestinian cause and vehemently condemn the actions of the Israeli government. And he gives pictures for reference of al-Husseini meeting Adolf Hitler in 1941 and him being close friends with Nazi high-ranking officials in 1943. Good. More pictures, so this goes by faster, Ethan. You've put a lot in here. You have been nothing if not thorough, son. All right, we may be skipping over the rest of this historical stuff, like we get who he is. He's a guy who worked with Jews. So we'll skip over that part. All right, here we go. On October 12th, 2023, the last episode of Leftovers aired. It was comprised of discussion between Ethan and Hassan regarding the Israel-Palestinian conflict and the events of October 7th. During the discussion, Ethan expressed his support for the Palestinian cause and empathy for their suffering, along with condemning Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. At the same time, he attempted to humanize the victims of October 7th to Hassan in the hope that empathy and mutual understanding could begin to heal the divide. Hassan was unpersuaded, and the relationship with Ethan and Hassan began to deteriorate. So basically saying that Hassan wouldn't even admit that the people who died on October 7th were even human. He wouldn't even entertain the idea of humanizing them. And everything fell apart after that, which is going to make Hassan look like a pretty bad person in the eyes of the judge here. And at this point, the judge is probably wondering, why do I care about this Hassan person? And that will all probably be made clear later. He's already established that many of Hassan's fans have infiltrated H3 Snark, and that H3 Snark is responsible co-conspirators in leading to the copyright infringement. So it's all still relevant, and then he will probably also outline Kaceytron later as a orbiter for Hassan, and then explain what an orbiter is to the judge as someone who piggybacks off his success and needs him to survive. So they all agree with him. So lumping them all in with the beliefs of Hassan and establishing what those beliefs are is important. Which this is all stuff that most people would say is irrelevant and things that we all know. But remember, the judge isn't terminally aligned. He probably doesn't watch Twitch streams. He probably doesn't watch any of these creators on YouTube. He has no idea what any of this stuff is. So you do have to explain every little bit of it so that he gets the full context of everything, which is what this is doing. In the aftermath of the falling out between Ethan and Hassan, H3 Snark became a radioactive hub of falling fans of our content. It became a focal point for spreading vicious lies, outlandish conspiracy theories, and hallucinatory misrepresentations of us. So I'm assuming he's going to give some examples of that, because the judge is probably going to want to see those. The rampant copyright infringement. Okay, so bringing it back to copyright infringement. Despite their hatreds towards the clients, the users of H3 Snark had an insatiable appetite for their content. The H3 Snark users, however, did not want the clients to receive any views or advertising revenue from the consumption of said content. As a result, H3 Snark became a locus of copyright infringement for their content specifically, which we will detail below. One method the Snark mods employed to consume the content was to share links to the content on YouTube. Why do you spell it like that? It's spelled... Wait, is that an actual site? Is that an actual site? That's spelled differently. What is YouTube? YouTube?
YEW. It could just be a typo.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out, is that a typo or is that like an alternate site where people watch stuff without actually giving support to creators? Because if there is an actual site for that, which it may be a download service. It may be a download service. Oh, let me try putting it in quotes. YouTube? 'Cause that's a weird typo to make. The E and the W on the keyboard are on the opposite sides of the O and the U needed to type the word U. It's a weird typo to make. It is. It's a download service. YouTube is a... Yep, here it is. It's on GitHub. A terminal-based YouTube player and downloader. So they download the videos before they watch them so that the video never actually gets a view. I'm assuming he's going to explain what that is on the next page then, because I didn't know what that was. I doubt the judge knows what that is. Oh, yeah, he does. A website that provides unauthorized access to YouTube, and then the rest is on another page. That's why it was split. It was split on the pages there. Okay. All right, so it provides unauthorized access to YouTube videos and publicly performs them, which constitutes copyright infringement. So it basically downloads them from YouTube servers without ever viewing the video, and then they rebroadcast them onto that site so you can watch them there without giving the original creator a view. It's a program or site that literally exists to steal views away from creators. Oh shit.
Yeah, and which means if they're using that is showing intent.
Yep, that is very intentional.
Important.
Yep, and he cites the case in which it establishes that is copyright infringement. YouTube had a particular appeal to H3 Snark Mod and its users because a video watched on YouTube does not result in a view or advertising revenue to the original work on YouTube. It's hard to say those two back to back, which is why it's made that way, so that it sounds the same when you say it, but it's spelled differently. H3 Snark Mods conducted live chats when our content was broadcasted live. During the live chats, the H3 Snark Mods would spam the chats with YouTube links to the broadcast. YouTube, Y-E-W tube. I'm going to call it YouTube so that verbally there's a difference and just leave the Y off. Once the live stream ended, the Snark Mods concealed the evidence of their copyright infringements by deleting the live chat logs. Below are true and correct screenshots of these Snark Mods spamming the live chat with YouTube links to our copyrighted content. And then he has pictures of them conducting this. Yeah, so they used Reddit live chat and then would delete those chats, which, by the way, if they are successfully deleted and the judge is able to subpoena them, then the only record of them are these screenshots. So they can't even refute these because they have no evidence to back up their side of the story. They deleted it. So the judge would then say, well, you're the only one that brought receipts to the table, so I'm going to go with you. Yeah, so they spam
and
a
also
link
deleting
here.
it again shows intent
Yep.
to commit
Well,
this copyright infringement.
Yeah, it's covering up your crime. Yeah, it's not deletion of evidence, which is what a lot of people go to, because it's not evidence if there's no active court case, but it is you trying to cover up said crime or trying to cover your tracks. So this would have been evidence eventually. So it's one of those terms that's different, but not really. They're cooked. This is just Kaceytron's. She is beyond cooked. We're reading the whole thing. I wanted to see just how cooked she is, and we're only on page 14 of 52, and we are already reaching well done status, boys. She may be charred crispy by the end of this. It's like all the right-wingers who cry about people should have rights, and then they spam another one. Yeah, so there it is. There's another one with the link. YouTube stream link, blah, blah, blah. And then they put a bunch of emojis around it. Like, they bring as much attention to it as possible. Here's more. Here's more. Here's more. I'm not going to read the whole chat log. But, yeah, what the individuals are saying in between these links are unimportant. He's just trying to establish that these guys are showing up every couple messages with links to it. They are spamming it. They are obsessive. And I'm hoping that a lot of these pages have more stuff like this so that we can just blast through this and not have to read a fucking book. Through various comments to post, doe number 3, Sarah Horn-Jewitz, encouraged the Snark users to use YouTube as an alternative to watching the videos on our official channel. Doe number three's comments were later wiped. Doe number three's efforts, the user was anointed as one of the Snark mods. So that is how she got her title of moderator, by enthusiastically committing copyright infringement. So she was even rewarded for her crimes with a position of power on the website. Some examples are contained below. On to the next page where they are going to show. I'm really hoping there's nothing inappropriate in this, Ethan. I hope you wouldn't post something like that, but if it's evidence, I mean, the court has to look at inappropriate stuff, so I'm really hoping there's nothing like that in here. All right. In August 2024, the user Pearl Unicorn created the post. For those who wonder why snarkers watch moments like the second button failure, below is a true and correct screenshot of Doe number 3 stating, "We encourage folks to watch on YouTube since it doesn't play ads or contribute to their view count." So outright stating the purpose of the crime. As can be noted, Doe number 3's comment was subsequently wiped from the post. Yeah, and then they're showing where she left the comment, and then it was later deleted. Gotcha. On August 28th, 2024, the moderators of the H3 Snark created a post entitled Mega Thread, the H3 Show. Below is a true and correct screenshot of Doe number 3 providing a link to the video Content Court Jack Doherty Show H3 Show number 48. So showing that she's linking to episodes of the podcast for viewing on an illegal site, for an illegal viewing experience. As can be noted, Doe number 3, her comment has been wiped from the post. And then you can see where she deleted it. There's her original post, and then they show where she deleted it. Because when you delete something on Reddit, it still leaves your username there where the comment was. That just puts deleted in parentheses. Under the H3 Snark wiki page for tools, tips, and guides, H3 Snark mods also instructed Snark users on how to create clips of content so that these clips could be posted on H3 Snark. At one point, the H3 Snark mods even instructed users on how to download members-only paywalled content, i.e. content only accessible to our paying members. Now that's actual theft there with monetary damages associated with it, so that they could be posted on H3 Snark. To hide their infringement, to hide their inducement of copyright infringement, the H3 Snark mods deleted, and it's on the next page. Yeah, it shows they deleted those instructions. So this is the equivalent of, this is like the difference between you having a pipe bomb that you're going to use in an attack, and then you having instructions on how to build a pipe bomb and telling other people to join you. So it's way different crimes. It is like we're reaching new levels here. Holy shit. All right, continuing on. Portion on downloading the content from the guide. A true and correct screenshot of the portion regarding the members-only content is provided below. They had a screenshot of it. I think that was a little out of order. I think the screenshot was on the last page. But anyway. Teddy Fresh Inc. issues takedown notices for infringing posts and comments on H3 Snark. Much of this has been more about H3 Snark and in the background than about Kaceytron herself. I feel like they cooked her in the first couple pages, and the rest of it is just, he's kind of, I feel like the other filings won't have this much about H3 Snark on it. I hope not, otherwise we'll be skipping through a lot of those. But I feel like he's, like, it was so easy to, like, establish the wrong that Kaceytron had done and just, like, how little she cares about her actions, that they didn't need all these pages. So they're going to spend the rest of the time explaining all the background, and that there's, you know, that this is a bigger conspiracy, and that the amount of people involved go beyond just her, and that she's part of a bigger network of people that are involved in this, hopefully, so that he can...
need to show the link.
Yeah, so that he... It sounds like he is going all in to try to get that subpoena for Reddit. And Reddit is not... Yeah, like Kaceytron's a nobody. But Reddit's a big company, so getting a subpoena on them, the judge is going to be, you better have a good reason for that. That's like trying to subpoena Apple or something. Like, you better have a damn good reason. This is a big company. You're talking about exposing users' privacy. Yeah, so he's got a much higher bar to clear to get that than he does to just prove that Kaceytron's a pothead who commits crimes without thought. Like, that was pretty easy to prove. Establishing the fact that they're using alt methods of watching his content without giving Ethan the views. I mean, they've established the intent and stuff. They've been talking about wanting to sue Reddit for years, so it's satisfying to see it all come together. Yeah, but you got to prove more than just that. Like, he needs to stack that deck of cards as fucking thick as possible in order to make sure he gets that subpoena. Like, I would even argue he needs to go overboard with it. Like, he's probably established enough now to be like, well, that subreddit should probably be shut down. But he's trying to go a step further. He wants to know the identities of the individual mods because he's established at the beginning of this, remember, he established that their subreddits have gotten shut down in the past and these individuals just make new ones. I need to know who these individuals are so I can stop them from making a new one. Just getting it shut down isn't enough. So that's what he's trying to establish to the judge here. So that the judge goes, you're right. If we order Reddit to shut it down, they'll just make another one. All right. Teddy Fresh Inc. began to fight back against the copyright infringements on H3 Snark by issuing takedown notices pursuant to section blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and then he gives the DMCA takedown law section of the law there. Taking a bit of a breather. All right. Teddy Fresh Inc. was extremely surgical about the H3 Snark post would be subject to DMCA takedowns, relying on the most pertinent fair use decisions. Teddy Fresh Inc. issued DMCA takedowns only for 1. Posts/comments that uploaded an entire episode onto the Reddit, particularly paywalled content. 2. Comments that provided an YouTube link to entire episodes of their content, or 3, posts that contained a clip of their content with a descriptive, non-critical title, and the comments were locked by the Snark mods, or there were no comments for several hours after. So he was basically saying, if you you gave no room for fair use. You took, even if it was a clip of the content, if you put a clip of the content up and then you disabled the comments, well, then that's not fair use. You can use clips, and they'd be fair use for the purpose of commentary and critique. But if you've disabled the comments, where's the commentary? Where's the critique? So he's followed every single law in the book that he helped establish so far, and stated so. In August 2024, DMCA takedown. On August 1st, 2024, Teddy Fresh issued a takedown notice for the H3 Snark post entitled H3 Live Show Behind the Scenes. The post contained a complete version of a video for the behind the scenes episode number 53, which was members only content, i.e. accessible only to pay-in members of our channel. On August 2nd, so they've established actual theft now. So on August 2nd, 2024, i.e. one day later, Reddit honored the takedown notice. So that clears Reddit of being conspirators here, because the greater mods at Reddit are at least complying with that portion of it. They didn't take down the subreddit, but they're at least complying with the takedown with the legal notices. On August 30th, 2024, Teddy Fresh issued a DMCA takedown for a comment by Doe number 3, Sarah Horn Jewitts, on the H3 Snark post entitled Mega Thread, the H3 Show. The comment contained a YouTube link to the Teddy Fresh video content court Jack Doherty H3 show number 48. So a way to watch an episode of the show without giving him a view or any ad revenue. On September 9th, 2024, 9 days later, Reddit honored the takedown notice. On September 18th, so he's documenting every single takedown notice he ever did against him. September 18th, DMCA takedown notice. Teddy Fresh issued a takedown for the post entitled Ethan and Dan confirmed the posting to Snark will get you banned. The post solely comprised of a clip from the video Ethan debates anti-Semitic Sneeko fan, H3 show number 55. I watched that debate. It was very entertaining. The post contained no comments because the snark mods locked the post. Reddit never informed Teddy Fresh Inc. whether the takedown was honored, so he doesn't know if that one was honored or not. On November 22nd, 2024, DMCA takedown was issued. The first takedown was for the H3 Snark post called Ethan Talks Positively About Celebrity Poker Tour Sponsors, a sports gambling app named FIF, H3 show number 83. The post contained a clip from the video We Play Poker with Ninja, Impractical Jokers, and more, H3 show number 83. The post contained 2 comments. Dude, your flare is actually fucking frying me right now with RN, meaning right now. He puts in quotation marks, original spelling, to let the judge know that he didn't mistype that. RN is internet slang, and he may have to explain that to the judge depending on how familiar the judge is with internet slang. All right. Number 2, the downfall is real, man. The post contained no further comments because the H3 Snark mods locked the post. On November 29th, 2024, 7 days later, Reddit informed Teddy Fresh Inc. that it honored their takedown notice. The second DMCA takedown was for the post entitled Ethan Describes His Issue with Hassan as Personal Beef. This post contained a clip from the video entitled Logan Paul Posted Fucking Insane Cringe. The judge is going to be like, what is all this? What kind of content do you guys make? But it doesn't matter what kind of content they make. This isn't about the quality of their content. It's about copyright infringement. H3 show number 84. At the time this DMCA takedown was issued, the post had been up for over 2 hours and no comments were at the time, but it was upvoted 130 times. And there's a citation there probably to explain what an upvote is. On December 5th, 2024, i.e. nearly 2 weeks later, Reddit informed Teddy Fresh Inc. that it had honored their takedown notice. On December 26, 2024, Teddy Fresh Inc. issued 2 more takedowns. The first was a takedown for the Snark post. LB says far leftists hate Israel because Israel is backed by the West, and this can lead to anti-Semitism. Ethan agrees, then says freedom of religion, speech, press, and to control what happens to your own workspace would be under state-controlled communism. H3 show number 85. Original spelling and brackets. Yes, it was all one run-on sentence and terribly worded. The post contained a clip from the video entitled. So this is the actual title of the video. That was the title of the Snark poster, of the subreddit post. The video was entitled "I Haven't Been Well." H3 show number 85. The post contained no comments because again the mods locked the post. On December 6th, 2024, 10 days later, Reddit informed Teddy Fresh Inc. that it had honored their takedown notice. The second takedown was for the post entitled, Lena asked Lonerbox about civilians and doesn't get a direct answer. It's always civilians are dying, but, and then there's a reason for justifying it. Original ellipses and spelling. The post contained a clip from the video entitled I Haven't Been Well, same podcast. The post contained no comments because the mods locked the post, and 10 days later, Reddit honored the takedown notice. We're halfway there, guys. We're halfway there. We're going to get through this. We're going to read this whole fucking thing. The H3 Snark mods made a concerned effort to issue fraudulent counter notifications to their takedowns as detailed below. On January 15, 2025, Reddit informed Teddy Fresh Inc. that a so-called counter notification was issued against both his takedown notice, the first fraudulent counter notification, was issued on October 18th, 2024. Reddit informed Teddy Fresh Inc. nearly 3 months later. Reddit might have to answer for why they're taking so long to inform them of the notification, especially if that meant that content went back up. On its face, the counter notification failed to satisfy the requirements, and then he cites a specific section of the law, because it failed to include, 1, the issuer's address and telephone number, so they didn't give out any of their personal information, which is needed when filing a legal claim. 2, consent to jurisdiction and service of process, so they didn't say where they were from, so they didn't know what jurisdiction this even fucking lied in. And 3, a statement made under penalty of perjury, so they didn't swear under penalty of perjury that their takedown, that their counter notification was even truthful. Further, the first counter notification contained numerous indicia of being fraudulent because, 1, it was a single counter notification for posts made by 2 different users, and they were both mods of that subreddit. And 2, it misrepresented that the takedown was for the post and not the comment with the YouTube link. So they didn't even realize what the takedown notice was for. They didn't realize what got them taken down. They were just upset that their post got taken down and wanted it back up. This is why you guys can't play around with these systems and just fucking file shit because you go, oh, you'll take me down? I'll appeal this or I'll hit that. Those are all legal terms for a fucking reason. They can be legally filed. And if you do so fraudulently, you are committing a crime and you can get held accountable for it. And eventually you will if you do it too much. Most of the time you'll probably get away with it. But if you see that some of your stuff got taken down and you didn't agree with it, you can fight it if you want, but just know if someone calls your bluff, you're going to court, brother. So just be aware of that. All right. It was also evident that the first one was issued by the Snark mods because it stated, we are writing to contest the removal of 2 of our posts from the subreddit under alleged copyright claims. Emphasis was added. We believe these reports may have been filed by fans rather than the copyright holder. So they didn't believe H3 or that Ethan even filed the claims. He thinks his fans did it. They think fans did it. And they're about to find out the hard way that no, Ethan himself did it, and calling his bluff means he will take you to court. If a fan did it, then they're just going to back down because obviously they were filing a fraudulent thing and you were correct. But if you're wrong, you're going to get called on it, which is what's happening now, and it's going to go to court. Despite the fact that their counsel contact information was provided in both of the takedown notices. So you could easily look at the notice and see that it had Teddy Fresh's name on it, it had their address, it had their phone number. They provided all of the legal documentation to prove who they were. They still said they didn't believe it was them. The name of the issuer was Michael Anderson, a generic name that would make it impossible to identify the issuer of the first counter notification. So basically, they probably use a fake name when filing their counter notification. You might as well have put in Steve Smith or John Doe. Yeah, it's a very generic name that and no other information provided. On January 16th, 17th, 2025, i.e. 2 days after receiving the fraudulent counter notification, Teddy Fresh Inc. explained in exacting detail the facts and law demonstrating that the notification was invalid. On March 18th, 2025, over 2 months later, Reddit responded to it, agreed that the counter notification was invalid, but claimed that it would refuse to honor the takedown notice because the post only linked to the video on YouTube. The same day, Teddy Fresh Inc. explained to Reddit that this was false because the takedown explicitly stated it was directed at a comment by Doe number 3 and contained an YouTube link, not a YouTube link, including providing a screenshot of the comment. To date, Reddit has yet to respond. Ooh, that's a bad look for Reddit. That does make it look like they're conspiring with that sub at this point because now they're just believing. They're just basically calling Ethan a liar, and then when he proves it, they don't respond. Ooh, that's bad. That is a bad look, especially in a court of law. think he's got a pretty strong case. Like I was saying, he might not get his subpoena. Sitting there thinking, this sounds like a lot of he said, she said back and forth. It sounds like Reddit's being cooperative. Why should we subpoena them? But now we're getting to the points where Reddit is not being cooperative. And the minute they stop being cooperative, now you have grounds for a subpoena. That's the purpose in a subpoena, is to make someone who's being uncooperative cooperate for the sake of the law, because we need that information. And if you're not going to cooperate and give it to us willingly, then we're going to go get the law to make you do it. And that's the purpose in a subpoena. And now we're getting to why he may actually be able to get that subpoena. Additionally, on March 18th, 2025, the same day Reddit informed Teddy Fresh Inc. that the first counter notification was invalid, Reddit notified Teddy Fresh Inc. that another counter notification was issued regarding the second takedown notice. The second fraudulent claim was issued on December 5th, 2024. Reddit notified Teddy Fresh Inc. 3.5 months later. Wow, their turnaround time is very inconsistent and long, and it seems to be getting longer every time. They're going to have some splaining to do. The second counter notification contained no indica that the issuer considered the 4 fair use factors prior to issuing the counter notification, which is unlawful. And then he cites the precedent that he set during his case, which would make it unlawful. She's not wrong. Fraudulent DMCA claims, fraudulent takedowns under the guise of fair use, despite whatever your favorite YouTuber has told you, kids, is a crime. It is unlawful. You cannot abuse the copyright system to silence criticism. Okay? That's not what it's for. Further, the language in the second counter notification demonstrated the issuer, Orbion Potatoes, did not understand fair use in general by stating this was an abuse of the fair use system, which is bizarre because he was the one claiming fair use, not Teddy Fresh Inc. And the conclusory assertion, even so, it would still be allowed under fair use without any further analysis. This is further emphasized on April 11th on a post on X by same username. In the post, he posted the cease and desist letter sent by Teddy Fresh Inc.'s counsel and defended the Reddit post by claiming it was only a 1.5-minute long clip, i.e. only focusing on the amount used and not the fair use factors. Yeah, he doesn't understand what fair use is. None of these people do. Like when I see them on Reddit and I start like going over that and I see them trying to scream fair use at the Denims clips and stuff, like because they're already trying to claim that Denims, that all of the reasons they're being sued are all fair use and that Ethan's abusing the fair use. They're sounding exactly like this, which is ironic because he is literally pointing this out in the case, and it shows that not only do none of them know how fair use works, but none of them are doing what we're doing right now and actually reading the fucking court documents. Very few people are actually going to read this, which is why I'm putting it in a video so you guys can listen to it like a podcast. We are reading it right now. We are getting all of that context that they won't get while they go out online and vehemently defend their favorite creator like Good Little Drones. All right. Additionally, the second takedown was issued. One of the H3 Snark mods, who later deleted their account, left a comment on the post stating, I reached out via DM to discuss how to appeal these, if you're willing to fill out the form. This further emphasizes that the H3 Snark mods coordinated a campaign of issuing fraudulent counter notifications to enable H3 Snark's copyright infringement of their work. So they got it taken down for copyright infringement, and the H3 Snark mods worked to get it back up. So, all right, we've established conspiracy now. They're enabling it. The H3 Snark mods went on a public relations campaign to paint Teddy Fresh Inc.'s DMCA takedowns as fraudulent to cover up their copyright infringement. Ooh, criminal intent now. Damn. He is leaving no fucking stone unturned right now. Oh my God. All right. Objective: the H3 Snark mods authored several posts misrepresenting the facts. There's a citation on that, so he's probably going to reference those posts for the judge to be able to click on it and look it up, because that's what's at the bottom. There's links to all this stuff at the bottom that we can't click because they're not actual links. This is all just text, but the judge will be able to pull up all of this in its original form. So if you're wondering what all the citations are in this, like the 24 behind this, facts thing, that's what that's for. After Ethan became vocal about pursuing claims against H3 Snark, the H3 Snark mods began deleting all of their posts, comments, and accounts en masse to perpetuate their false narrative and conceal their copyright infringement, along with other illegal activity such as organized harassment and defamation. So he's going all in. He's going straight down the harassment and defamation line too. On March 5th, 2025, a YouTuber by the name of The Law, Jesus, posted a video on YouTube entitled "Dear H3 Snark, I See You." And there's a link to the video cited there. In the video, The Law admits he was a former H3 Snark user who came to reject the obsessive and destructive behavior he saw taking over the subreddit. He documented the acts of copyright infringement. Oh, they had a man on the inside! Oh, shit! He documented... I'm going to look up this guy's YouTube channel, too, to see if we can find some of this to react to later. He documented the acts of copyright infringement by H3 Snark users and H3 Snark mods and other unlawful conduct, including their attempts to conceal said unlawful conduct. The video documents: 1. H3 Snark mods deleted their post after Ethan announced plans to pursue legal action against them for harassment. 2. How the H3 Snark mods abused the live chat feature on Reddit to promote their harassment and defamatory statements, because the live chat on Reddit, you can hit clear chat at the end of it with one click and clear the entire chat instead of having to go through and delete all those posts. And there'll be no evidence it was deleted like a post. When you delete a post, it just says deleted. The history of the post being made was still there. So they're abusing that, including promoting some of the egregious offenders into H3 Snark mods. So basically saying that the worst offenders were the people who were getting made into mods. Number 3, how Snark mods use sock puppet accounts. Just doing boring court reading stuff. Used H3 Snark puppet accounts, i.e., and he's going to define what a sock puppet account is, because remember, this is all going to be in front of a boomer judge who doesn't know what these terms mean, i.e., using a false online identity for deceptive purposes to conceal their identities while engaging in harassment, which were deleted after Ethan announced he would pursue legal action against them. And then he cites the video where he announces that. Number 4, how the H3 Snark mods purposefully lied about the takedowns to conceal their copyright infringement and obfuscate their intent to siphon views and ad revenue away from Teddy Fresh Inc. More criminal behavior. All right. This is where he created and registered the nuke. By the fall of 2024, Ethan and Hila Klein's concerns reached a fever pitch over Hassan radicalizing his audience with propaganda from Ansar Allah, aka the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas. The Kleins were equally concerned with Twitch's refusal to enforce its community guidelines against Hassan and his so-called waiting rooms. And then he's going to explain what waiting rooms are, i.e. other Twitch streamers like Kaceytron who parrot Hassan and politically leech off his audience by broadcasting immediately before or after his streams, but never at the same time. So there you go. I told you he was going to bring it back and establish her as an orbiter, and that is what that just did. I called it before he did it. I knew where this was going. Number 37, Hassan and his waiting room hijacked the necessary and important discussion of the Israel-Palestine conflict and the Gaza war. They employed genocidal rhetoric that painted all Israelis as subhuman, warranting annihilation. The term Zionist lost all meaning and quickly mutated into a thinly veiled dog whistle for Jews. Okay, so he's just outright saying it at this point. And the reason all of this is important, because you're like, why does the judge care about all of this foreign war stuff, is because remember, he established earlier that his wife is from Israel and that they are saying that Israelis are subhuman and they warrant annihilation. So that, therefore, that all leads back into his to his claim here. Can you give me some water? If you don't mind. Doing a lot of reading here. I love you. Thank you, sweetie. So he's basically establishing that this is the level of harassment we're getting. They're literally calling for my death, for the death of my wife. And they're anti-Semitic against Jews. Ethan is Jewish, and they're using Zionist as a term to talk about Jews on these platforms. And I will be surprised at this point. I'm going to try to call some of it again in advance. I'm going to be surprised at this point if he doesn't reference the video by Dan Saltman outlining how they use the term Zionist to mean Jew. That if he doesn't add that I will be shocked if he, and I'm sure that Dan would not mind being referenced in this lawsuit whatsoever. I would not be surprised if they talked beforehand, especially if you need further proof of where my brain's at and why I'm thinking this, especially since their most recent sponsor, who's been sponsoring all the episodes of their podcast since he announced this lawsuit, or since shortly before he announced the lawsuit, is Redact.dev, the company Dan Saltman owns. Dan Saltman's literally the sponsor of his streams now. So I would be absolutely shocked and amazed if if they haven't already talked and Dan is like, yes, you can reference me, use my videos, I want in. All right, next page. All right, number 38. The nuke was written, shot, and edited from December 2024 through January 2025. So it took him 2 months to make it. So he's even telling you like when it like how long he spent making this. On January 27th, i.e. 4 days before the nuke was publicly released on our YouTube channel, Teddy Fresh Inc. submitted its application to register the nuke with the United States Copyright Office. On January 28th, the United States Copyright Office received the deposit copy of the nuke, so he gave them a copy, and the registration was finalized. The deposit copy varied slightly from the broadcast version of the nuke. First, the copy did not contain the conclusion and sponsor segments that was contained in the broadcast version, which is normal practice. Television shows won't include the commercials when they go to copyright their show, and they won't contain the credits. Did not contain, sought to contain in the broadcast version. Second, to prevent the nuke from being age-restricted by YouTube, which would limit its reach, Teddy Fresh Inc. was required to fully blur out the footage of the Houthis entering the bridge of the Galaxy Leader and black out the footage of Hamas releasing the hostages on November 2023. Third, minor visual edits were made. So he's basically saying that the one that they copyrighted is completely uncensored. But they did censor it before putting it on YouTube. Third, minor visual edits were made. Ultimately, all of the deposit copy was incorporated into the broadcast version. So all of the one that they copyrighted is in the broadcast version, along with a sponsor, a credit segment at the end, and edits for censorship purposes. The nuke is a tragic-comedic documentary critiquing Hassan and Twitch. It consists of original footage, highly edited montages, parody skits, and archival materials, a great deal of which are owned by Teddy Fresh Inc. So that was one of the arguments I was having earlier today with H3 Snarkers. One of their copes is that they're claiming that all of the things that Ethan is accusing Kaceytron and Denims and all these people of doing are the same things that he did when he made his nuke. And it's outlined here, which is further proof that they did not read these documents. By the way, these documents have been up as long as that video has been up. They had way more time to read this than I have. So they, could have read this, but they didn't. But he's outlining here that a lot of the videos he used, a lot of the clips that he used in his content nuke were actually owned by him. So he's using clips from his own podcast that Hassan happened to be on, which wouldn't be copyright infringement. And the few clips of Hassan that he did use were within the constraints of fair use. They were highly edited montage clips and parody skits. So where he would overlay music over top of them. Yeah, they were all of that. Do I think these people read? I am proving to you in real time that they do not. No, I never thought they did. Thank you guys for sticking this out with me during this boring court document reading phase. Told you I was going to lock in and do this. But I feel like I'm doing a service because people will read this. Well, not read this. They will listen to this like a podcast, and then they can use me as an audiobook to say, yes, I read the whole document. So they don't have to sit here and try to read through this. And any of the parts of it I feel need interpretation, I'll try to add some interpretation for. I'm not explaining a whole lot of it because I feel like a lot of people already know this stuff or get it. I'm not doing what they're doing and trying to explain every little thing because I understand that you guys aren't boomers who don't know how the internet works. I'm assuming that most people watching this video know how the internet works and know what all this jargon means. But when extra context is needed, I will. When I feel that something needs to be elaborated on, I'll elaborate on for it or break it down for you if I thought something sounded too confusing. Number 40. We got that. Where are we at with this?
Use your foot and
What?
grab that cord.
Okay. Where were we? The nuke can be divided into 7 sections. 1, the prologue. 2, the Twitch parody sketch. So he's outlining every single thing he did in it and why it's fair use. So, yeah, these people clearly didn't read this stuff. Number 3, the Houthi section. And news footage is fair use always because it is news. Number 4, the Hezbollah section. Number 5, the Hamas section. Number 6, the Twitch section. And number 7, the conclusion. The prologue, he's going to break down each and every fucking section. I don't know if we'll go through all of this because I feel like we already covered that nuke on my stream. You guys can just go watch that video. But he's basically explaining it to the judge here. The prologue walks the audience through Ethan Klein's thesis of the nuke, blah, 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 while admitting both him and his prioritized figures. I feel like we can skip the part where he explains what's in the nuke because we've all already watched the nuke. This is explaining it to the judge. Ethan shows archival footage of Hassan, so he's explaining how the footage he uses is okay. Archival footage is also fair use. Okay. So what archival footage means, I feel like I need to clarify that. So what archival footage means and why that's fair use, archival footage is you using footage. Let me flip to the next page here real quick. So archival footage is you using footage that the copyright holder or the original content creator has disposed of. So if Hassan deletes a VOD of one of his streams, but Ethan already has a copy of that VOD and he wants to use footage from it, well, now it's fair use because Hassan himself has relinquished control of it by deleting it. So then it becomes fair use. It becomes archival footage. Footage that wasn't archived and deleted becomes lost media. So if you want to know the difference in those two terms, if it was deleted but somebody saved a copy of it somewhere, it's archival footage, and then that becomes basically public domain. If it's deleted and no one saved a copy of it, it's lost media. So those are the difference in those two terms. Points out that Twitch takes no action to moderate Hassan. Okay, I feel like we're still going through this. Twitch parody sketch, Houthi section. Okay, we're still going through. I'm gonna skip over the Hassan Nuke parts. If you guys want to know about what's in the Hassan Nuke, just go watch it, because he's just basically giving a play-by-play breakdown of what's in the nuke for the judge, in case the judge doesn't want to watch it, I guess. The Houthi section ends with him, blah, blah, blah. The Hezbollah section, Hamas section. Ethan goes on to address critiques, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The Twitch section, yeah, so we're still going over it. What else we got? Alright, so I'll skip over the content nuke stuff because you can just go watch the content nuke. Now maybe the next couple pages here. So it seems to be a good chunk of it. Is him just explaining the video he's already copyrighted. I want to get back to the history snack mods. Okay, blah blah. Ethan points out. Okay, we're still talking about that section. Okay, there's conclusion. Okay, here we go. So this is the end of it. Now we can go back to the reason we're here, the Kaceytron stuff. All right, H3 Snark promotes Kaceytron as a substitute to watching the nuke. Throughout January 2025, Ethan built up public interest in the nuke by frequently discussing it on his show. The audience of Hassan and his waiting room, who comprise of large portions of users of H3 Snark, anticipated the nuke with religious fervor to defend their proverbial grand Mufi from criticism? Is that what they call Hassan? And you guys are really not going to tell me this is a cult? You have cult-like structures and a name for your leader.
It's like the KKK with the Grand Dragon, right? Or the Grand Wizard?
It's Grand Wizard.
Okay.
In the
I always
KKK.
get those
But
mixed
hey,
up.
they got a Grand Mufi. Yeah, you guys are a cult. Like the more I learn about how this entire fan base is structured, the more I'm like, oh, that's a cult. That's a cult. Which explains why the comments on all my videos always look the same. And why you come in there chanting your mantras and just spam post the same stuff over and over again, and you all sound the same. It doesn't matter what username's next to the comment. They all read the same. Jesus. Okay, anyway. Grand Mufi from criticism. So they're protecting Hassan, the Grand Mufi. Grand Mufti. Does that mean something?
I was going to say, is that
I'm going to
something?
Google that real quick. Yeah, let's add that context there, guys. What is Grand Mufti? Let's see if that refers to something. Grand Mufti. Oh, okay. So here are my first responses when I type it into Google. Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, Grand Mufti Hitler, Grand Mufti of Saudi Arabia.
Oh, God.
Which one are we,
I mean,
which one is he referencing, guys?
Ooh.
A Grand Mufti, also called Chief Mufti, State Mufti, Supreme Mufti, is a title for the leading Islamic jurist of a country. That is definitely not what Hassan is.
I was going to say,
So is this supposed to be referencing Hassan? That's got to be who it's referencing, though.
Yeah.
They anticipated the nuke. So they're talking about the Snark users. They anticipated the nuke with religious fervor to defend their proverbial Grand Mufti. Yes, they're talking about Hassan. Oh my God. They're literally comparing him to a religious figure. And you guys are going to tell me you're not a fucking cult. Eat a dick, dude. Holy shit snacks.
I just want to point out that cults are formed during times
See? And the deeper we learn about this stuff, the crazier these people sound.
Yeah, cults are formed during times of social upheaval, usually, like in the 70s with the counterculture movement and all that. This is just our new online versions of all that shit.
Free Palestine, dog.
Yeah.
That's literally the
Yes.
most common comment on my page.
Yes.
Free Palestine, dog.
Like, in why? Like, in reference to what?
Okay. Yeah, I'm like, well, nothing about this
There's
video had
nothing-
anything to do with Israel or Palestine, but thanks for the
Yeah.
comment, I guess. It boosted my engagement. Holy shit. Okay, sure. All right. These fanatics, however, did not want to watch the authorized version of the nuke because Teddy Fresh Inc. would reap the benefits from the views and ad revenue. Free these nuts from your mouth, dog.
Dog.
Oh god, they're children. They're little fucking children.
Yeah, they are.
All right, the H3 Snark mods knew that there was a huge demand to watch the nuke. There was a huge demand to watch the nuke through unauthorized channels and promoted group viewing sessions of the nuke as follows. So this is where we're getting into how we've referenced. It all comes back to Kaceytron and how they have conspired with her to commit copyright infringement. And theft, because they're admitting to taking away his revenue. So there's actual monetary damages he can claim now, too. Yep. See? This is why you have to watch what you say, guys. You can't just...
Can't just say shit.
Yeah, you can't just say shit. On January 30th, 2025, i.e. the day before the nuke was released, Doe number 1, Reddit user Jewett Torn Sarah.
Ugh.
Yeah, they have anti-Semitic names too. Like it can't be more obvious.
I know, right?
Like it can't be more obvious. As an H3 Snark mod, and on behalf of the mod team, created a pinned post entitled Mega Thread, Content Nuke, Where to Watch, and Discussion. First inductment post. As a pinned community post, the first inductment post was featured at the very top of the Snark page in the community highlights section before any other posts were visible. So they put it front and center. The H3 Snark mods did this to maximize the visibility of the post. The post featured Kaceytron as a place to watch the nuke without showing support for H3, aka Teddy Fresh Inc. And a link was provided to her stream on Twitch. The first post also stated that Kaceytron supported H3 Snark by engaging directly with the Snark mods. A true and correct PDF printout of this post is attached. So they printed it out before they could delete it and attached it to the legal document filing. Panicking and deleting stuff after that. If something's been filed or you're being told you're being sued and you're issued the paperwork, deleting evidence does nothing.
No.
That paperwork has already been issued, and they provided that evidence when they issued that paperwork.
I was gonna say, they've already done the homework.
They've already got it. It's too late. You can delete it if you want. Judge already has it. He already has a copy.
Even if they didn't already have the homework done, it's the internet.
I mean, typically you can't even file this stuff without having some of that homework done and providing some kind of receipt. Like you can't just.
Yeah.
Typically. I mean, frivolous lawsuits, depending on the state. Slap suits are a thing, I know, but typically they won't honor those or they won't go forward with them unless you've got, especially states with anti-slap laws, which I believe hers is. You got to bring something to the table before they'll even file the suit for you.
Yeah.
All right. On January 31st, 2025, the day the nuke was released, the H3 Snark mods created and updated a pinned post entitled Ethan Klein's Content Nuke on Hassan Piker /H3 Snark Megathread. This is the second inducement post, which I will just refer to from here on as the second post for ease of listenability. The second post was also a pinned community post that was featured at the very top of the H3 Snark page to maximize its visibility. The second post featured Kaceytron as a place to watch reactions to the video, i.e. the nuke, and a link was provided to her Twitch channel. A true and correct PDF printout of the second post is attached herein as Exhibit G. At some point after January 31st, 2025, the H3 Snark mods deleted the first post and the second post to conceal their contributory infringement of the nuke. But it was too late. They had already printed them out. Like he said, he planned all of this in advance. He was ready.
And no, it's
so for
not
anyone,
entrapment, idiots, because he's not a law.
Yeah. You
He's
can't
not
scream
a
entrapment. Entrapment only applies to officers of the law. So if someone tricked you into doing something, if someone tricked you into doing a crime, you can't go to the cops and say, he tricked me, it was entrapment. That doesn't count. Your buddy just tricked you into doing crimes.
Yeah.
You just did crimes. If a cop tricks you into doing crimes,
Then
well,
you
then
have
that's
a case.
entrapment, because the cop is supposed to know better. The cop was in a position of authority. Your friend is not.
Yeah.
Ethan's not in a position of authority. Like, you don't
I don't know why.
You don't have to do what Ethan says. You have to do what a cop tells you.
I don't know why on Twitter people were like,
Because they're stupid.
bam, you know, like that was.
Because they're stupid. And the other cope I saw was that he didn't really plan this all as a trap. This is just a cope, and that this is all going to go nowhere. Clearly, you guys didn't read this, because the amount of evidence he has, he would have to gather before even posting the nuke, which means he did plan it in advance. He brought receipts,
It
bitches.
always amazes me how many people
None of them
seem
read it.
to-
And he's provided them with everything they need. And they won't read it. They won't look at it. They won't engage with it.
And, I mean,
They'll just form conspiracy theories.
I'm not even saying like you don't have
Because we're sitting here
to
reading it. This
be-
is. You guys can claim Ethan's lying all you want. I'll go ahead and try to knock down some of the cope here. You guys can claim that he's lying all you want. This is an official court filing under threat of perjury.
Yeah.
So I don't believe he's lying.
I mean,
You'd have to prove that. But he's brought plenty of receipts to prove his stuff. You guys will claim all sorts of conspiracy theories with no receipts to prove yours.
yeah, I
Just
know,
saying.
but just imagining that you don't have to be a law professor to understand just the basics of how law works. Like, oh my God,
They are
just
they are delusional.
Any-
This is that cult-like mentality.
Yeah,
This is
like-
why I say it's a cult. This is, other than the clearly cult structure they have for Hassan now. I didn't know he had a religious leader name, for
grand-
fuck's sake. But
the
yes, they have a
grand,
cult-like mentality.
yeah.
The Grand Mothma,
Grand Mothma.
or whatever. The Grand Mon Mothma. No, wait, that's Star Wars. All right. All right, so they deleted that to cover up their infringement. The H3 Snark mods were all aware of Kaceytron's reputation for copyright infringement and lazy reaction videos. As such, the H3 Snark mods knew that it was highly likely that Kaceytron's reaction to the nuke would be infringing a group viewing session of the nuke and not fair use. The H3 Snark mods coordinated with Kaceytron to direct H3 Snark users to her group viewing session of the nuke, noting she was live but not reacting yet. So they're even admitting that if you
but
just
not
want to watch
reacting
it without some dumb pothead bitch interrupting, or without someone that, if you want to watch it, no, I will rephrase.
I was gonna say,
if you want to
not sure
watch,
that's their wording.
if you want to watch the nuke without supporting Ethan, without giving him any money, but you want to watch it uninterrupted by a commentator, watch this dumb pothead bitch. She ain't gonna say shit. She's just gonna sit there and occasionally cough
I was
and
gonna
then
say
go,
she
what
might cough
happened?
here.
While she sucks fucking pot smoke out of that colostomy bag she had up to her mouth. What the fuck was that thing?
It was like one of those, you know, when you go to the state fair, it looked like one of those big bags. They
Well,
put
when
the
he had
cotton
it, because he had to
candy in.
blur it for YouTube's guidelines, he couldn't show her smoking
That's
pot.
what it
So when
looked
it's blurred, I was like, "Is that a fucking colostomy bag?"
No.
Man, potheads are geniuses. When they need something to smoke out of,
Yeah,
they'll
right?
rip their colostomy bag
Like-
out and be like, "I can use this."
Like,
I knew a guy in college who made a
God.
bong out of an apple.
I mean, that's what it looked like to me.
God
It
damn.
looked like one of those big ass bags you get.
You
at the
guys
state
put half
fair.
your creativity into something constructive as you do
know.
into
Y'all could be
making
helping cure
into
cancer or
making
some
things to
shit.
smoke your precious herb from. Yeah, we'd have socialism by now. Sorry.
What's the old saying that necessity is the mother of invention.
Yep, there you go.
I guess we don't need to cure cancer.
We don't need that. We don't need to colonize, another planet or anything.
We don't need socialism, guys.
We don't need to solve environmental issues. No, dude.
We don't need universal health care.
But
we don't
pot.
need,
A way to smoke pot.
but
We
a
need
way
it.
to smoke this plant. I need that right now. My God, dude.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my God. Okay. All right. The laws of fair use. Fair use is codified in Section 107 of the Copyright Act. The statute sets forth 4 non-exclusive factors courts consider to evaluate fair use. And these were 4 that were established by Ethan Klein himself during his first case. Let's see how many of them Kaceytron, now that we know what we know, has violated. Number 1, the purpose and character of the use, including whether such use is of a commercial nature or for non-profit educational purposes. She profited from it and asked you to give the money to her and not Ethan, thereby making it commercial.
Yep.
So she falls under the commercial
But she
category.
also provided no educational content.
Well, it would.
How to make.
Well. Even if you add educational, it's specifically non-profit educational purpose. So
Oh.
even if you make it educational, that's not enough. You can't make money from the educational work for it to be fair use.
So how to smoke pot
so
out of a
like-
cotton candy bag is not.
All right, so like when you're in school and your teacher shows you a copyrighted movie, she's not making money from that.
No.
And that's for educational use. Just about every school in the fucking country used Weird Al's Word Crime song. Weird Al knew they would use it, and it was for nonprofit educational use. It was fair use, and he didn't fight any of them on it. So that's what that's intended for,
Yeah.
in case you guys are wondering. All right, number 2, the nature of the copyrighted work. And he's established here that the nature of the work was to steal views away from him and act as a market substitute. Number 3, the amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. She used the whole fucking thing. In case you want to know what the portion was, it was the entirety of it. And she provided she did it to be a market substitute and to take views away from him, not to provide any substantial commentary. The key word there is substantiability. So commenting for 15 minutes during an hour and a half long video is by no means substantial. So all of them saying on Twitter, it's fair use, she commentated, how is that different? That's how. That word you guys are leaving out, substantial. It has to be substantial. In other words, your reaction to the content must be longer than the content itself. If I react to a 30-minute video on my stream, my clip of that reaction is oftentimes an hour and a half to 2 hours long. It is substantial. All right, number 4, the effort of the use put upon the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. The potential market was the viewers, and the value of the copyrighted work was the ad revenue he would have gotten from said viewers. So they can look at her viewership numbers and have an exact number of the amount of views that didn't go to his nuke. And then they can calculate the ad revenue he would have made off that number of viewers to know exactly how much money she siphoned from him. They can do the maths. Which, fun fact, I did the maths on Kaceytron while we're on math. I did the maths with my wife earlier today off stream, in case you guys are wondering, because he did display how she smoked more than she talked during her reaction, and how she smoked 42 times. Well, the length of that nuke is an hour and a half. An hour and a half divided by 42 is 3. That means that this bitch took a bong hit during her reaction to that nuke every 3 minutes. This pothead bitch could not go 3 minutes without taking a hit.
God. But it's not habit forming. I mean,
No, it's not addictive. It's a plant.
It's not.
It's all natural, man.
all natural.
It's not addictive. It's all
No.
natural, man. It's not like chemicals and stuff. It's God's water.
God's water.
Do you remember if you had to 100% every area in Doom the Dark Ages to get all the achievements? No, you don't. I think you have to find all the secret areas, but you don't have to get 100% of the items. You just have to find all the secrets and all the collectibles. But there's plenty of areas on the map and stuff where you can get to that have like currency on them that you don't have to go through. I 100%ed them all anyway because I thought you did, but then I found out I didn't get an achievement for it, so you don't have to. Doom the Dark Ages is just quick side tangent, so we can take a break from this. Doom the Dark Ages is the easiest platinum trophy / 100% achievement score game I've played in a long time. I did it over a weekend. I have literally no reason to reinstall Doom the Dark Ages. I got all the achievements. I got all the skins. I beat it on the hardest difficulty, first playthrough, and got all the collectibles and all the achievements. I did all of the things you can do in the game in a weekend. And with no multiplayer, I have no reason to go back to said game. That game's not worth $70. It is a great Game Pass game, but it is not worth a purchase. I'm sorry to say. That's my quick review of Doom the Dark Ages. It's a fun, albeit short ride. All right. The first fair use factor. Oh, he's going to break down how he's going to do what we just did and break down for the judge how she violated all of them. Yeah, 2016 is still the best in the series, in my opinion. All right. The first fair use factor relates to the problem of substitution, i.e., whether the new work supersedes or supplements the original, aka market replacement. And then he cites a specific court case where that's outlined. The central question is whether the secondary work adds something new with a further purpose or different character. So for those of you wondering, you can use the entirety of someone's work if you're adding something new and it furthers the purpose or adds different character or context, if your, commentary that what you're adding to it is substantial. Why would anyone watch my 1.5, 2-hour-long reaction to a 30-minute video when they can save a ton of time if they don't care about my commentary by just watching the 30-minute video? But if the video is 30 minutes and my reaction is 32 minutes, there's very little difference between the two. They're not going to care which one they click on. That's the point. All right. Saying that for the snarkers so they get it. The mere fact that a secondary use has some further purpose or adds something new does not render such uses fair. So you're like just adding something small to it doesn't count. Putting a camera with your empty chair in the corner doesn't count, Hassan. You have to add something more than that.
Really?
And emphasis added, and he cites the law where that's been established. Rather, an allegedly infringing use has a further purpose or different character is a matter of degree, and the degree of difference must be weighed against other considerations, like commercialism, which, the minute she started taking profit for it, it became a commercial work. The bar is much lower to clear for non-profit educational stuff. So if you're not making any money off of it, then there's no real damages, so you don't have to add nearly as much. The minute you start taking money from it, though, now you have to meet that commercial standard, which is a much higher bar to pass. While a use that has a further purpose or different character is said to be transformative, transformativeness is a matter of degree. And again, this is all outlined in previous cases. He's citing those cases, 598 U.S. at 529. Indeed, an overboard concept of transformative use, one that includes any further purpose or any differentiating character, would narrow the copyright owner's exclusive right to creative derivative works. ID. To preserve that right, the degree of transformation required to make transformative use of an original must go beyond that required to qualify as derivative. You have to make it into something new. It can't be similar to the original. It can't be derivative. The first factor also relates to the justification for the use, both in the broad sense and in the narrow sense. A use is justified in the broad sense if it has a distinct purpose that further the goal of copyright, namely to promote the progress of science and the arts without diminishing the incentive to create, i.e., educational purposes. A use is justified in the narrow sense when it is reasonably necessary to achieve the user's new purpose, i.e., such justification is particularly relevant to assessing fair use, where wide discrimination of a secondary work would otherwise run the risk of substitution for the original or license directives. Again, the qualification of justification is one of degree. Basically, it's up to the judge. It's still open to interpretation, but guidelines have been established. So there's no direct black and white, this is or isn't thing that's been established yet. The only thing we've established is guidelines, because each piece of copyrighted work is going to be different. So you have to look at them you're basically just saying you have to look at them on a case-by-case basis. It's not cut and dry. But with these established guidelines, if you're already not meeting the very broad guidelines that they already have, chances are you're not in the clear here. You should probably stop what you're doing. All right. A critical book review illustrates how secondary use must be justified both in... Continues on the next page. Both in the broad and narrow sense. In the broad sense, the use of the original serves a different purpose than the book, i.e., criticism and commentary. In the narrow sense, each quoted passage within the review likely serves a different purpose, an object of that criticism, than it does in the book. So when you're quoting from the book in a criticism, even though you're reading the exact same words that are in the book, they serve a different purpose. In the book, they're there to further a story or to, construct a narrative. In a criticism, they're there to criticize that narrative or that authored work. So they are different, even though they are the exact same quote. The purpose is different. Kind of like when I try to explain to people how context matters with one of my favorite phrases, which, it's easier to do in text, but if you want the verbal form of this, it's like you saying, "I'm coming, Grandma," or "I'm coming, Grandma." I said the same words, but you got very different meaning from that, didn't you?
Nope.
Nope, one of those is wrong. All right.
Or basically, another way of looking at it would be to reading a passage from, we'll say, 50 Shades of Grey, that the delivery in the book itself may be directed as one way, but your reading of it will be there
it's the
how
Bill.
poorly the book was written.
Well, it's the Bill Burr bit. Like, if you want a comedic example of it, like Bill Burr has a bit about getting a bad read specifically from a judge like this. He was like, "Remember you and your wife were messing around," and she's like, "No, please don't stop."
Oh God, no.
And then and then the judge is like, "No, please Don't.
No.
Stop. That ain't how she fucking said it. That ain't how she fucking said it. That ain't how she said it.
Made it sound like I'm murdering her.
Yeah.
No. Oh, yes. Context matters, people.
All right. Anyway. All right, so he goes on to explain how we just explained all that, so I'm not going to read the rest of it. But the book review, even book reviews are not entitled to a presumption of fairness. So even they can be not fair use if the book reviews use the entire book and they only criticize 2 pages of it. Yeah, like yeah, all right, shut up. Yeah, like there's a right and a wrong way to do this, and I think it should be pretty clear at this point to anyone watching that Kaceytron was in the wrong.
The wrong way.
There are several indicators of when a use for criticism and commentary is not sufficiently transformative to justify a secondary use. Number 1, when the commentary has no critical bearing on the substance or style of the original composition, the claim to fairness in borrowing from another's work diminishes accordingly if it does not vanish. And other factors, like the extent of its commerciality, loom larger. So her interrupting the video to go, "Hey, what's going on? I'm so confused right now. I'm trying to follow, guys, but I've lost the plot." That adds nothing. That essentially tells the viewer that you aren't paying attention and that your commentary is worthless, that you're better off not speaking. And if that's the case, you need to turn off the video. And if that's the that's what that means. They're just saying it out right now. All right, number 2. Oh, wait, I was still on the first one. Where was that? Commentaries, borrowing from another diminishes the factors of the work. Blah, blah, blah. Indeed, a loose topical connection with the original work is equally problematic. All right, number 2, when a defendant copies more than is necessary to facilitate comment or criticism. So if you've watched an 1.5 hour long video and only made 15 minutes worth of commentary, you clearly watched way more than you needed to make your commentary. So she fails there as well. All right. The law is clear that to be considered transformative criticism, the aspects of a work that reproduce another person's protected expression must be in service of commentary on that work. It is not enough for a part of the work to have transformative purpose. So you can't transform the first 15 minutes and then watch the rest uninterrupted and say that's good enough. You have to go, you got to transform the whole fucking thing. Otherwise, don't use the whole fucking thing. However much of that video you use, whether it be a clip or the entirety of the video, you need to be transforming and criticizing the entirety of the part you use. If you have no criticism of a section of a video, then don't use that section of a video. No criticism or commentary or anything that would transform it. Yeah, then don't use it. Yeah. So she failed there. All right. Number 3, when the use of the copyrighted work is not consistently transformative. I remember Mom talking about this one. This was established during an Elvis Presley case.
What?
Yep, they cite the Elvis Presley case here. Elvis Presley, 349F, 3D at 628. For example, when clips are played without much interruption, if any, or used in excess of the benign purpose. I think some other artist used a large portion of a song or used the music from his song and changed the words. It was like one of the first recorded instances of like someone sampling a song.
Sampling it.
Yeah, and he freaked out about it. And that's when they established this. The use of voiceovers, headlines or caption, or wholesome copying. So director's commentary, basically.
Yeah.
Sprinkled with written commentary, fail to sufficiently transform a copyrighted work under the fair use factor. So if you guys are wondering, this was a thing on YouTube for a while, and you can buy these from creators on Patreon, but they can't post them on YouTube anymore for this reason. Director's commentary style stuff where you just add narration over something or talk over top of it the whole time, and you're just like adding your commentary so it mimics watching it with friends, was a very common thing. You would have people make commentary tracks for movies where you would pull up the YouTube video and they'll tell you where in the movie to turn it on or to unpause. And then you unpause and you get these movie channels that would commentate on the movie as if they were watching it with you, but they wouldn't be criticizing it. It was more like director's commentary where they're giving you background information on actors and they're just giving you that kind of commentary. They're adding voiceovers basically. Those weren't fair use, and YouTube doesn't do them anymore. You can still get them from like Red Letter Media still makes them. Mr. Sunday Movies still makes them. Like these big YouTubers still make them, but they're on their Patreon now. Like they're not on YouTube. Clips from them might be on YouTube, but not the entirety of the commentary. Yeah, and because they, as established by law, fail to sufficiently transform a copyrighted use under the first fair use factor. Additionally, when a copyrighted work is used to simply illustrate what that work already depicts, the infringer adds no further purpose or different character. So, if you're making the same point that was already in the video with the video, then you've added nothing.
Yeah.
So, XQC, that's crazy, chat. That adds nothing. Or son, well, it's crazy. That adds nothing. He's right, chat. That adds nothing. You got to add more than that. All right? And copyright law treats the infringer as free riding on the inherent value of the original work. Piggybacking. Yeah, and that all came up during the part that he mentioned in his video with XQC and Hassan both reacting to the JFK thing, because that's pretty much what they did for the whole thing. Or they left an empty chair string. Yeah, so that outlines how that is also still not fair use. The fair use factor does not favor any user who wants to reach different buyers in different markets or communing different products. So that excuse that Denham's tried to give, where, hey, guys, I'm putting it on Twitch. The people on my streams on Twitch aren't going to go to YouTube. They don't want to go to YouTube. They come here to see what I'm watching. They're never actually going to go to YouTube and watch it themselves. It's a different market. No, that does not. That does not count. That does not make a difference. As mentioned, the degree to which a secondary use has a different purpose or character must be weighed against other considerations like commercialism. The undisputed commercial character of the defendant's use, though not dispositive, tends to weigh against a finding of fair use. So they've outlined how she's not within the bounds of fair use here, and they've just outright stated it. Commercialism examines the degree to which the new user exploits the copyright for commercial gain, as opposed to incidental use as part of a commercial enterprise. Again, with the Elvis Presley case. Courts consider whether the defendant was motivated by profits and profited from the publication, which Kaceytron very clearly was and did. We have documented cases of both. All right. Further, if the defendant is not advertising a scholarly critique or historical analysis, but instead seeks to profit at least in part from the inherent entertainment value. She added no educational value. She added no historical analysis of anything mentioned in it. She was clearly profiting from how entertaining how entertained her chat would be watching the nuke with her. Because again, they even put it in the title of their video. They were watch parties. Oh, damn, this is damning. This bitch is like beyond cooked. And again, they cite the Elvis Presley case. Finally, commercialism exists when a secondary user makes unauthorized use of a copyrighted work to capture significant revenue as a direct consequence of copying the original work, which she did. And they're going to be able to look at her ad revenue and the ad revenue she took from him. And yeah, okay. All right, so they reference the court case here where H3 set the precedent. The court found the first fair use factor favored fair use because the Klein video was quintessential criticism and comment on Haas. So they're comparing her directly with Ethan Klein when he set this precedent himself. So he's using himself as the fucking standard. God, that makes this case so much harder because, like, now you're not just citing a case where some guy set a standard. The guy who set that standard is in front of you. So you can, now the judge can just ask him questions directly. He gets to literally interview the guy as part of the case who set the standard for the case he's having. I don't know what part of them makes them think they can win. All right. We're getting there. I only got a few more pages, guys. Lock in. All right, and he goes on to talk about that. The Klein video was consistently transformative by interspersing relatively short segments of the original with long segments of his commentary. So basically, he commented more than the length of his commentary exceeded the length of the amount of the video he used. The second fair use factor, the nature of the copyrighted work, typically has not been terribly significant in the overall fair use balancing. This factor examines the extent to which the original work is creative and whether it is unpublished. Even when a work documents a real-life event, the work can still be creative because it is the product of many technical and artistic decisions. So with the reference in there, they probably think it's fair use because everyone on Twitch does it. They think it's fair use because Denham's told them it was fair use. That's they don't think. They're told what to think. Yeah. But what it just outlined here about how even like documenting real life events can still be creative. You're talking about the difference between like reporting the news is generally fair use always because there's nothing creative there. It's just a guy standing in front of a camera telling you what happened. But if you're talking about like reporting something real that happened in the form of like a documentary, well, now there's a narrative being constructed, there's camera work involved, there's reenactments that are oftentimes done. So you're still telling a real life thing, but now it has a creative aspect to it. So that's the difference. So when you're thinking of this, think about the difference between watching the news on TV and watching a documentary about a thing you saw on the news. They're going to be two very different viewing experiences. All right.
Or to put it another way, reporting out on the Trump trials that have gone on just recently compared to reporting on them in about 10 years' time.
Yeah, when they make a movie about it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely going to.
Yeah, they're definitely going to make a movie about it. The movie would be the creative work. The news report would just be the news. Yeah, exactly. Where was that on this?
Or the Diddy trials. That's also going to come.
Or the Diddy trial. Yeah, they're definitely making a movie about that one. All right, the work can still be creative because of technical. Whether a work is published is defined by whether the author exhausted the right to control the first public appearance. So this goes back to like them deleting VODs. You have lost your control of that public appearance because you deleted it. So anyone then using it as archival footage later would be considered the second public appearance. You have relinquished that control. That is why that is brought up here. The mere fact a work is published does not weigh in favor of fair use. So it can still be against fair use to use something that is previously published and unpublished. So just deleting the VOD and like just using archival footage doesn't necessarily make it fair use. You still got to add stuff to it, but it does make it different. Again, this is all like weighed on a case-by-case basis. That's why they keep using the terms considerations. You have to take this all into consideration, but it's not definitive. All right. The third fair use factor examines the quantitative amount and qualitative value of the original work used in relation to the justification for that use. Consequently, the third fair use factor cites back to the first factor because the extent of permissibly copying varies with the purpose and character of the use. When the amount used is substantial with respect to the infringing work, it is evidence of the value of the copyrighted work. So the more of the copyrighted work you use, the more value you're taking away from that copyrighted use. It is evidence that that copyrighted work has value and you needed that value. You're trying to take it. Copying an entire work militates against a finding of fair use, obviously. If, however, the new user only copies as much as necessary for his or her indicated use, this factor will now weigh against the new user. So again, they're weighing the amount that you used versus the amount of commentary or criticism you made. You're only supposed to use what is necessary to your criticism.
So basically, if you're commenting on the fight between Captain America and Red Hulk in the last event, big Marvel movie, and you only use that fight scene, that would be fine.
That would be fine, yeah.
If you use the entire movie just to comment on that.
On that one scene, yeah. Exactly. All right, yeah, so if you're like 20 minutes, yeah, like if you're 20 minutes after the fight scene still talking about the fight scene when something different is happening in the movie, okay, then why are you still showing the movie? You don't need to show it anymore. You've displayed what you need to display. You shouldn't be showing anything else. If you're showing something new on screen, you're moving on to another scene, then you should be critiquing that scene. And if you're not, you should turn it off. That's what that means. The court found, all right, so in the original Ethan Klein case where he's establishing that Ethan's the guy that set this precedent, and the court found the third fair use factor was neutral because while Ethan Klein copied a great deal of Haas's video, the extent and quality of importance of the video clips used by the Kleins were plainly necessary to comment and critique. So he used the appropriate amount. The fourth fair use factor is undoubtedly the single most important element of fair use. And he cites a different case for that one. Harper versus Rowe Publishers. I'm not familiar with that case. While the first fair use factor considers whether and to what extent the original work and secondary use have substantial purpose, the fourth factor focuses on actual and potential market substitution. So this is the one that's egregious. It is outlined here as the most important, and it is the one that she blatantly and verbally admitting to violating. The fourth fair use factor emphasizes both one, the extent of market harm caused by the particular actions of the infringer, and two, whether unrestricted and widespread conduct of the sort engaged in by the defendant would result in substantial adverse impact on the potential market of the original and the market for derivative works, which she was advertising herself as a market replacement. Watch me instead of him. So yes, the entirety of the work. Yes, that incorporates the whole thing.
It was advertised as let's take views away from this guy.
Yeah, she just admitted to the crime outright. Even when there is little direct evidence of actual market harm caused by the secondary use, to negate fair use, the plaintiff need only show that if the challenged use should become widespread, it would adversely affect the potential market for the copyrighted work. So basically they're saying if she were to try to use the defense that, well, I didn't get that many views, you had millions and I only had 500, is that substantial? Does that matter? He can say it had the potential to take even more. The fact that you failed at your task of taking a bunch of views away doesn't negate the purpose in which you tried to do it. Just because you failed at your task doesn't mean that you didn't try that task. Failing at murder is still a crime.
Yep.
Okay? Failing at doing a
murder.
bad thing doesn't mean you didn't still do the bad thing.
Also, the what they're likely to come out with the people that watched my thing weren't going to watch yours anyway. Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. A, that's proven a negative, which you can't do, and B, it doesn't matter. They potentially could have, and you're weighing potential. So, the fourth fair use factor also must take into account the public benefits the copying will likely produce. I need a drink of water here real quick. Throat's getting dry. In other words, does the use serve copyright's goal of enriching public knowledge? Hers did not. She added,
Didn't enrich anybody?
she didn't enrich anybody's knowledge of anything, unless you wanted to know how many bong hits you could safely take in an hour and a half without passing out.
Or if you could smoke out of a cotton candy bag.
Colostomy bag.
It was a cotton candy bag. It's not a colostomy bag. I think it was too big.
I know
for
what
that.
I saw.
It was too big for that.
It was blurry, but I know what I
That was
saw.
a big colostomy bag then.
Yeah, well, she's a big bitch.
It wasn't a goon bag.
The name of her stream was literally Goonathon.
So
Why?
she could be. She could have been going out of a goon
It's
bag.
ironic he said that because the name of her stream
Yeah.
was literally Goonathon.
Why? Though. Like,
Because
You know
she
what?
used, if you can believe it, she got her rise to fame on Twitch as Twitch's first e-girl. She was Twitch's sex symbol for a while.
oh God.
She looked vastly different then, but
I was gonna
she
say, that was
still-
before all the
she's
pot
still-
smoking
Yes, that
got
was
to
10
her.
years ago.
Yeah.
But she's
Yeah.
still under the delusion that people goon to her.
Yeah,
She's
no,
still
no,
playing
sweetie.
that like as her brand.
No, sweetie.
Ain't
no.
nobody gooned to you in a long time. A long time, sweetheart.
I mean, there's
Oh,
something
we
for
usually
everybody
do.
out
Do you-
there.
do you-
Maybe somebody.
Do you remember when I first started streaming? Taylor used to come to the stream.
Yeah, I remember that.
He was obsessed with this girl.
Really?
This was her. He was a Kaceytron simp.
Oh, well.
He brought her up in chat every stream.
I mean, like I said, this must have been before. Her
Man, his
lifestyle
heart must
took a
be
toll.
so broken now.
I know, right?
Poor guy.
I'll just also raise that we were using goon in two totally different contexts. The goon I was talking about is not what you were talking about.
What are you talking about?
What Australians refer to as a goon bag. Do you know those boxed wines?
Oh, well, obviously I'm not going to know Australian slang. I didn't know y'all called boxed wine goon bags.
Bags.
Yeah, the boxed wines, and you know,
Yeah, it's got the bag in it.
You got that bag in it? Yeah. That's what's referred to as
I'm
a-
calling it that from now on. It's a goon bag. I'm
gonna
stealing
We're
that.
So vastly different here.
I'll admit to my crime right now. I'm stealing that.
I'm stealing that.
Next time I see some middle-aged white woman with a box
You
of
got
wine,
yourself a goon
you got
bag.
yourself a goon bag there, sweetie.
You were gonna get like
Oh, it's so good.
Some middle-aged
See, this is an
white lady's
educational
gonna
stream,
slap
and that
you.
makes it fair use, ladies and gentlemen.
That's
You
fair.
learned
Right
something
there is an
today.
example.
We all learned something today.
Oh.
Just posting direct chat to you.
Oh, I mean, I've seen one. I know what they are. I'm sure you're sending me a picture. Right? The Goon Base sent me the definition.
I was gonna say,
I'm already
this
reading
is
too
the
much
time
stuff
for
right
the more you know.
All right. When the original work is associated with dangerous misinformation.
God.
Oh, man. They're going all in. It does not serve the next page. I may download these as a PDF so I can just scroll through them the next time we read them. I don't got to keep moving the window back and forth.
Yeah.
It does not serve the public benefit and results in actual and reputational harm to the market for the original work, which she openly admitted was the reason why she was trying to do it.
I feel like that's not. This isn't taken advantage of more often.
That was her intent.
Yeah.
They outright say, if you enjoyed watching this terrible video with me instead of giving views to Ethan, so they outright say that it's bad, let's ruin the reputation of it, and so it's very clear that was her purpose.
That was the goal.
Yeah. Even when the primary markets do not meaningfully overlap. So there you go.
Yeah.
They just outright state the fact that those snarkers were never going to watch it anyway, does not matter. You're still ruining the reputation, because while they may not go watch that video, they're going to spread their thoughts about it. They're going to ruin the reputation from it and dissuade future people from watching it. So while they may not have been a view you took, they may be taking future views with their defamation of it.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. In the original case by Ethan, the court found the fourth factor of fair use weighs in favor of a determination of fair use. His video did not usurp demand for the original work, thereby resulting in a loss for the infringed or unjust enrichment for the infringer. So they're saying the reason that Ethan won his court case, which set this precedent during the original one, is that he did not violate that fourth one. He was not a market replacement for it, and he did not meet the standard of infringing upon or unjust enrichment of the original work. So people would still go watch the original work because you get a much different viewing experience without Ethan's added context. To the contrary, the Ethan Klein video did not serve as a market substitute for Haas's video, because the video by Ethan Klein transformed Haas's video from a skit into fodder for caustic moment-by-moment commentary and mockery. Consequently, the video by Ethan Klein did not offer a substitute for the original. This is why parody matters. No one who watched, like if you want to know why parody matters, no one who watched any of the parody movies about other movies, like the Scary Movie parody of Scream, no one watched that and went, well, I don't need to see Scream now.
No
one listened to a Weird Al version of a song and went, well, I don't need to hear the original now.
Usually most people said, okay, I need to hear the original.
In fact, I discovered most of those original songs because I heard the parody version first, and I was like, I need to know what he's making fun of. And then I went and listened to the original song. So they got to listen from someone that otherwise would not have been interested in their work whatsoever, and potentially made a new fan, because I've discovered some artists I didn't know existed because Weird Al made a song on them, and I went and listened to it, and I was like, actually, this ain't bad. And then I became fans of their work. Some of them I thought were trash, but the point is, the
point is, it got you listening.
He
to
added
stuff.
value to the original work. Kaceytron's group viewing sessions failed to make fair use of the nuke. It is readily apparent that the primary purpose of Kaceytron's use of the nuke was to offer a group viewing session, aka watch party, of the nuke as a substantial substitute for the original. This is evidenced by A. Kaceytron begins her group viewing session 13 minutes after the nuke was released to the public. The timing of Kaceytron's group viewing session of the nuke demonstrate that she did not pre-screen it to formulate her opinions prior to the broadcast. So you're supposed to pre-watch. I know we don't always do that here on this stream.
Yeah.
But you're also supposed to give enough breathing room, so you shouldn't be reacting to a video minutes after that video goes live.
Yeah.
Usually I'll wait a day or two. I'll let them get their views, and then I'll react to it. I usually don't react to something same day unless it's something like this where Ethan was very much encouraging people to react to it because he wanted it to spread like the plague. He wanted, so, context matters there.
Yeah.
But most of the time, the videos I'll watch on my channel are, days or even weeks old. So they've already gotten their views. I'm not, siphoning from their, because most of the views on a YouTube video are gotten within the first week, max. Usually within the first couple of days. And then, views will sprinkle in over time, but the majority of the views come within those first couple of days of publication. All right. Rather, Kaceytron timed her group viewing session to occur shortly after the nuke was released to capitalize on the great public interest in it and siphon as many views as possible away from the original to herself, which she openly admitted to. So that's not even up for debate, snarkers. All right. All right. In other words, her priority was to personally benefit from providing a substitute for the original, and any commentary and criticism was a mere afterthought. Immediately prior to watching the nuke, Kaceytron states, and I'll quote, "I know a lot of people have been waiting to watch this without necessarily supporting Ethan, so we're going to watch it." That seems pretty fucking definitive, Your Honor.
It does.
This demonstrates that Kaceytron knew her audience wanted a substitute for the nuke, and she was more than happy to provide them one. Kaceytron's group viewing session suffers from a poverty of any commentary in general, let alone
It's such a backhanded lawyer insult. Or
yeah, they're
compliment,
pulling no punches here. They are insulting her with legalese.
Yes, they are being very insulting.
This is how proper snark is done, snarkers,
Yes.
with the law. There's no one more snarky than a lawyer.
Nope.
All right. Let alone on the style or substance of the nuke itself. For example, over the course of 10 minutes, Kaceytron makes 5 short comments. Some were completely unrelated to the video. "I don't know anything about this stuff." Number 2, "Here we go, right?" Number 3, "So now he cares about genocide?" Number 4, "I mean, it's true, America bad."
What?
Yeah, that's when Ethan made the comment that their politics all boil down to America's bad. And she goes, "Well, it's true, America is bad." Why is it bad, Casey?
Yeah,
I don't know why I'm.
Stop repeating shit that your grand wizard
Smoke a little more. Maybe the spirits will talk to you. The founding fathers will come and tell you what they fucked up with.
Founding fathers.
And the last quote: "What's wrong with him saying that? It's true." Showing the entirety of the nuke without providing extensive commentary that eclipsed the amount shown demonstrates that commentary was a mere afterthought for Kaceytron. Kaceytron admits that she has no idea about, like, world politics, geopolitical politics, or anything like that. And they're quoting her.
Oh my God, they heard. Jesus Christ.
Are you just imagining the look on the judge's face as he reads this?
And I know that there is some intern Sitting there going, as I'm typing this.
Oh, they had a field day with
They
this
did.
shit, man.
Oh my God,
man.
they did.
That paralegal had a good day that day.
Yep.
This is why I took this job.
Oh, before the judge is gonna have to read this before the case even comes in.
Oh yeah, he's
So
already read it.
He's gonna be going, can we get our youngest intern to just explain to me?
They try to explain it in it, but we're talking about the intern for Ethan's lawyers had to type this up. Like, I know what to say.
Don't worry.
That's where
I
all
got
this
this.
snark is coming from. That
Yep.
paralegal had a field day with
Yep.
this shit.
I'm sure the lawyer was even like, you're
I'll
younger
allow
than
it.
me.
I'll allow it.
Go ahead.
They gave it to him for review, and
Yep.
he's like, it's a little harsh, but I'll allow it.
Oh, good work.
Relatively, Kaceytron repeatedly states that she needs to watch The Nuke again with Mike's analysis. The Mike that Kaceytron is referring to is Jesus Christ. They say they gave his real name to. I'm saying it. If it's in a
It's
court
in a
doc,
legal
this is
document.
not doxing. This is public record. The Mike that Kaceytron is referring to is Michael W. Byer, a.k.a. Mike from PA. Referred to from here on out as Bayer. Bayer is a... I'm sorry. This is probably the snarkiest part.
Oh,
You can tell that they don't like Mike, and paralegal is having a field day here.
This paralegal probably follows
Oh
this
my
stuff.
Probably was forced to watch more of it than they cared to
Yes,
now.
probably.
And
Yeah.
developed a disdain for these people after having to watch hours
After
of their
the
content.
watch, yeah.
Yeah, that's literal torture. I hope this paralegal was compensated well.
Yes.
All right. Bayer is a failed Nepo baby who is a prolific purveyor of misinformation to the public for over a decade. As explained below, Kaceytron's reliance on Bayer as a source of reliable information is misplaced.
A failed Nepo baby. Yeah, this paralegal really did not like him.
Is misplaced and misguided. Oh God, they go on. This is reading like the defamation case for when Fox News lost their case for defamation, and basically they were saying you're not a news outlet, you're propaganda, you're not a reliable source for news. Here's Tucker Carlson's text messages that prove it. Here's Tucker.
They had to read the text.
No one should be looking to Tucker Carlson for
No.
information.
No. Oh, God.
And then they had to read it out in front of the
Yep.
judge. Yeah, oh, that was a fun read too. All right. So in case you guys don't know who Mike from PA is, the paralegal's going to tell you.
A failed Nepo baby. First
Oh, he's going to go way further. Bayer is the son of former Pennsylvania State Representative Karen Bayer, who is a Republican. Losing her seat in 2010, Bayer changed his political affiliation from Republican to Democrat to run against Representative Justice Simmons, the man who defeated his mother in the Republican primary of 2010. He changed his political party for revenge. I will avenge my mother's honor. By the way, he also lost.
I was gonna say he lost.
In case you're wondering how he became a Twitch streamer, he also lost.
He lost.
He
That's
gained
how-
his audience on Twitch to promote his candidacy because people were excited to watch an actual candidate and interview them live in
Yeah,
real time.
yeah.
And then he lost and just kept streaming.
Yeah.
Bayer had the great privilege of going to and completing law school at the University of Pittsburgh, despite having an opportunity that many would envy. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The paralegal's taking this shit
Yeah,
personally because
personally.
you have a degree in law and this is what you're
And
doing
this
with
is
it.
what you're doing
Yeah.
with it.
You're
Yeah.
a disgrace to my profession.
Yes.
Oh,
And that paralegal probably is working their ass off to finish up their law degree and shit.
And this dude is,
Oh, yeah.
Jesus. Despite having an opportunity that many would envy, Bayer squandered his education. After law school, he became a real estate consultant to his family and had not relied on or applied his legal training to impart legal advice in any such endeavor. He literally never used his degree. Oh, yeah, they're taking it personally.
Yep, they
This paralegal's pissed.
Like
In a
that,
lawsuit involving
bitch.
Bayer, which they do here, Penn 2014, he did not actively prepare for the bar examination, had not yet scheduled himself to take the bar, nor did he claim to be working with the law for a lawyer or judge as a non-lawyer assistant. So he didn't even take a job as a paralegal.
Didn't even intern, nothing. Just
In 2014, Bayer ran against Representative Simmons for his mother's prior seat. In his petition, Bayer stated his occupation was a lawyer. They put in quotations,
okay.
despite not having passed the bar. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court took the drastic remedy of invalidating his petition because his description of occupation was both materially defective and issued with knowledge it could mislead electors as to his credential for the office of lawmaker.
Yep.
So you lied on your
Why would
application.
you lie? Just say
Jesus.
all to avenge mommy.
Jesus. While Bayer eventually ran, so he got kicked off the ballot, but ran anyway as a write-in candidate, he lost the election by 22%. This is a bit excessive for an explanation of who Mike is for the judge. I don't know why he needs to know all this, but I am enjoying this read.
Because the paralegal
Fuck
was
Mike
like,
from PA.
Fuck this dude.
This part was probably, I'll admit it, this part was probably excessive.
Yeah.
But I'm reading it anyway.
Because I can see the judge going, okay.
Like, wait a minute, why do I care about him running for politics and not being a lawyer? What does this have to do with copyright infringement? Probably nothing, but it's fun to
And
read.
it's fun. Yep.
Oh, and they even reference the video we're going to watch on my channel here soon at the bottom to continue our reaction to Idiot Influencers. Rob's Media, Idiot Influencers, Mike from PA, which is available there. So we're going to watch that. We've watched some of these other ones, so like the other Idiot Influencer stuff he's referencing. Okay. Afterwards, Bayer blamed his local Democratic Party for the misrepresentation in his petition.
I'm pretty sure that's you who
So if the
misrepresented
Democratic
yourself.
Party believed you were a lawyer, it was probably because you spent so much time bragging to them about your law degree.
About that you were
You
a lawyer.
probably should have clarified.
Probably. Once again, not taking responsibility. Why are so many people? Why are we raising
This is like that
people?
person who brags constantly about being a doctor, and then somebody gets hurt. We need a doctor.
And they're like,
I'm not that kind of doctor.
I'm not that kind of doctor. I'm a chiropractor.
I'm Dr. Bill Cosby. I'm a doctor of comedy. I'm a doctor of... What?
What? No.
Why would you call yourself a doctor then? Why would you... Yeah, it's misleading, intentionally
yes, it's
so.
very misleading.
Bayer's alibi raises more questions than answers, particularly given that he was a law school graduate, such as 1. Did Bayer sign the petition without reviewing it first? 2. Did Bayer sign the petition first and then the parties subsequently filled it out? Or 3. Is Bayer engaging in another misrepresentation? Yeah, they really don't like
They
Mike.
don't like him.
I don't
at
like him
all.
either. He's a piece of shit.
I mean,
for
I was gonna say he does sound
for
like a
all
piece
of the
shit.
reasons mentioned and many, many more.
Yep. He sounds like a piece of shit. But yeah.
Okay. Sounds like we're about to finally wrap this up with Mike. All right. After failing at a political career that was handed to him on a silver platter, Bayer became a streamer. Over time, his politics grew more radical, and he began to traffic in baseless conspiracy theories, falsehoods, and online harassment. There we go. We brought it all back.
Brought it back around.
He's a co-conspirator in the harassment.
There you
We
go.
just needed you to know why he did all of this, because he is pathetic, and he disgraced
Nepo
and he
baby.
disgraced all of the offices that we lawyers and
Lawyers.
you,
Judge.
honorable judge, hold dear. It's a
But you know that
character
judge
assassination.
was a lawyer first.
Jesus Christ, we're going to just appeal to the judge's sense of honor. Your honor.
Your Honor.
In case you guys are wondering if judges have those, it's literally in the name.
Yep.
All right. Indeed, Kaceytron is often too obliterated to comment on the nuke and instead stares blankly at her computer screen. In a span of 2 hours and 7 minutes, Kaceytron smokes marijuana frequently and in high concentrated form through a vaporizer for nearly 19 minutes, which is 3 minutes more than she speaks during her group viewing session. And it has a timestamp he has listed for each and every individual bong hit. At one point, Kaceytron is so wasted that she states, "What is happening? I'm trying to follow, but I lost the plot." So openly admitting she has no commentary to add.
I think this girl lives in I've lost the plot.
Lives is a strong word. She merely takes up
She
space.
exists.
A
Exists.
substantial
Yeah.
amount. If I could use lawyer speak for a minute, she takes up a substantial amount of space
In which she exists.
through which she exists.
There you go. Oh my God.
More notable than her dearth of commentary and copious amounts of cannabis is the sound of what appears to be Kaceytron repeatedly emitting flatulence on stream. She is a farting machine.
This
Mom.
was the sex symbol.
She went from sex symbol to methane mama. Now that's commentary. You taking notes, Kaceytron? Put the bong down and pick up a pencil.
And some Beano.
So what they're trying to say is that they turn the echo chamber into a gas chamber.
Well, we know they don't like the Jews. I'm sorry,
Oh,
Zionist. This is gonna be the most unintentionally funny court document I've ever fucking read.
This is like that episode of Rick and Morty.
Where they get Rick and Morty to
do
read the
the court.
transcript.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good video.
It is.
That's a good...
God.
The nuke takes the vast majority of Kaceytron's screen for her reaction. Kaceytron's objective was to provide a large and unobstructed view of the nuke to her audience. All right, only a few more pages left, guys. We're getting there. We're getting into the comedic gold part, so lock in, because this is where it's going to
I
get
was
good.
gonna say
I am
enjoying
fucking
this.
here for it, man.
Yeah.
I told you I'd try to make it as entertaining as possible, but I didn't have to actually add a lot of jokes to this because they
Nope.
put them in the document. Chef's kiss. I expected nothing less. All right.
Oh God.
In contrast, Kaceytron sequences herself to a small portion of the screen that de-emphasizes her presence, particularly relative to the nuke. See Exhibit H. So they provided a screenshot. Kaceytron's use of the nuke was highly commercial. Throughout her group viewing session of the video, Kaceytron solicits donations and her donation goal at the top of the screen. See Exhibit H. On her Twitch page, where Kaceytron's group viewing session was located, she solicited paid subscriptions, donations, and bits, a different form of money of monetary compensation exclusive to Twitch. Each time Kaceytron receives a donation or paid subscription, an announcement would play over the nuke. Indeed, during her group viewing session of the nuke, Kaceytron received numerous paid subscriptions and donations. Further, Kaceytron received ad revenue from her group viewing session of the nuke. So they're establishing the sheer amount of money she profited from this video. As the second fair use factor, the fact the nuke was released 13 minutes prior to her group viewing session does not weigh in her favor. Further, while containing numerous documentary and factual elements, the nuke contains numerous creative ones, which weigh against fair use. Yeah, which weigh against her claim of fair use. Kaceytron looks like she gives the driest possible head. She got a cotton mouth.
God. Yeah, I'm not a man, but
She got that cotton mouth.
I imagine her tongue is kind of sandpapery, like a cat's. Oh, God.
Fuck, man.
Yes.
All right. The fourth and most important fair use factor weighs the most heavily against her claim of fair use. It is readily apparent that Kaceytron intended and succeeded to provide a market substitute for the nuke for all of the reasons set forth below. And they're going to outline every dumb fucking thing she did. Yeah, there's not a lot of room on the screen here, so I'm just kind of working with what I got.
That's fine.
I mean, I'll try to make...
No, that's fine. That's fine.
It's not enough room. Okay.
No,
All right.
cut me back off.
Wait, you want to be there?
No. You can just listen to my voice.
All right. Yeah, you can just be commentary then. All right. Kaceytron's statement before her group viewing session that I know a lot of people have been wanting to watch this without necessarily supporting Ethan, so we're going to watch it. Exhibit H, and then they give the timestamp. Showing the nuke in its entirety with minimal commentary. Starting her group viewing session 13 minutes after the nuke was released to the public, when the interest in the nuke was at its apex, also making it impossible for her to have watched the nuke herself so that she could be educated on what she's watching and provide commentary. The nuke's an hour and a half long. At most, you could have watched the first 13 minutes, which you clearly didn't do because you had to set your stream up and go live.
Yeah.
All right, the first post and second post by the H3 Snark mods, so they're referencing how the mods directed traffic to her. Due to Kaceytron siphoning the audience of the nuke to her group viewing session, Teddy Fresh Incorporated lost views and ad revenue it would ordinarily receive from the individuals who watched her group viewing session instead of the nuke itself. Her conduct did become widespread. Several other members of Hassan's waiting room, I love how they're just referring to his orbit as a waiting room now, of his waiting room, conducted a group viewing session of their own immediately after its release. So they took turns doing these group viewing sessions to maximize the amount of views they were siphoning, which resulted in further loss of views and lost advertising revenue to Teddy Fresh Inc. Claim for relief. Here's what he wants in return. Now, this is where I'll leave my statements at the end. Be ready to clip me. I want a clip of me saying this stuff to Ethan so that hopefully it'll get in front of him and maybe, just maybe, he'll use my idea, which I'll save for the end, in how to settle this lawsuit if they want to settle. And I think it would be the crescendo, the chef's kiss, the perfect way to close out your little trap you've set for them here. All right. First claim for relief for direct copyright infringement against Kaceytron. Teddy Fresh Inc. incorporates by reference the allegations contained in the preceding paragraphs of the complaint. Teddy Fresh Inc. is the sole owner of the copyright of the nuke and registered it with the United States Copyright Office, which means not even YouTube has. Usually YouTube is the license holder and you have to go through the... Nope. This is a video on YouTube, not owned by YouTube. Kaceytron accessed the nuke from Teddy Fresh Inc.'s YouTube channel, H3H3 Productions. Teddy Fresh Inc. did not grant any license, authorization, or consent for Kaceytron to oh shit, I grabbed the wrong thing. Okay, let's get that over here. Not grant any license to exploit the nuke in any manner. Rather, Kaceytron's group viewing session of the nuke constituted an unauthorized reproduction, public performance, and derivative work of the nuke in violation of Teddy Fresh Inc.'s rights as set forth in 17 U.S.C. Section 106. Due to Kaceytron's acts of copyright infringement, Teddy Fresh Inc. has suffered damages in an amount to be established at trial. So they don't give the number here, but that'll all come out at trial, and they're probably still tallying that up because they gotta, they have to get in. They probably have to subpoena Twitch to get in touch with Twitch to know what the exact ad revenue rate is that she's getting, because not all partners get the same rate. To know like what her split is on her subs. Some partners get a 50-50 split, but she's been around a long time, so she might have the 60-40 or the 70-30 split. So they need to know like exactly how much money her channel made during this. All right. Due to Kaceytron's acts of copyright infringement, Kaceytron obtained profits they would not have realized but for her infringement of our copyright in the nuke. Kaceytron's act of copyright infringement were done with actual or constructive knowledge of Teddy Fresh Inc.'s rights, such that said acts of copyright infringement were willful, intentional, malicious, and or taken with reckless disregard for my client's rights. The second claim for relief: contributory copyright infringement against the Snark mods. Oh, he is going directly after the Snark mods for relief here. Teddy Fresh Inc. incorporates by reference the allegations contained in the proceeding of blah, 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 blah. So basically, we're claiming this. The H3 Snark mods, and each one of them, so he's doing each one of them individually, knew Kaceytron's group viewing session would infringe upon our copyright. The H3 Snark mods, and each one of them, are responsible for the first and second inciting post on the subreddit. The first and second post induced, caused, and or materially contributed to Kaceytron's infringement of the nuke. They were co-conspirators. Due to the mods' contributory infringement, Teddy Fresh Inc. has suffered damages in an amount to be established at trial. So they are named directly at the end here. As co-conspirators. The H3 Snark mods acts of infringement were made, or contributory infringements were made with actual or constructive knowledge of my client's rights. Such said acts they were willful, intentional, malicious, or taken with reckless disregard. So they're just copy and pasting that there. All right. Prayer for relief. Wherefore, Teddy Fresh Inc. prays for judgment against Kaceytron and the H3 Snark mods, collectively known as defendants, as follows: Teddy Fresh Inc. Teddy Fresh Inc. to be awarded defendants in each of their profits. So he wants any of the money they would have made, plus any of the losses he has suffered. Attributes to defendants' infringement upon the nuke: the exact sum to be proven at the time of trial, or, if elected, statutory damage in the amount of $150,000 as available under 17 Section C. So basically what that's saying is, I want the amount of damages or the maximum amount the court is allowed to give in this trial, which is $150,000, whichever one is greater.
Comes first.
No, whichever one's greater. I want the maximum amount. So if the damages exceed $150,000, give me $150,000. If they don't, I still want $150,000 for pain and suffering, basically. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
$150,000 is happening.
Yeah. Either way, I'm getting my $150,000.
Yeah.
Teddy Fresh Inc. be rewarded it to be awarded it reasonable attorney fees. He also wants them to pay the attorney fees. Teddy Fresh Inc. to be awarded prejudgment interest as allowed by law, and to be awarded such further relief as the court deems proper. So any fines or anything the judge wants to tack on. He is demanding a jury trial. Jury trial demand. So he ain't even trying to appeal to the judge. This was all for a jury.
And
That's what all the backstory's for.
That's what all the backstory is for.
Teddy Fresh Inc. demands a jury trial on all issues, so trialable pursuant of Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 38 and the 7th Amendment of the United States Constitution. And designation of place of trial is the last page.
So, yeah.
There it is.
A lot of that stuff is going to...
He didn't mention that in the video, so that was like the icing on the cake at the end that you wouldn't know if you didn't read it. And clearly, none of them have read it because they haven't mentioned it either.
Yeah.
They think they're going up against a judge still.
Nope.
He's keeping it close to the chest on purpose because he wants them to be blindsided with it.
Yeah.
Sorry I read it either, but they're not going to watch my video.
No.
But yeah, them. So we got to reevaluate the entire way that we just read that whole thing, because now you have the added context of all that stuff we met, all that stuff we read, all that snark, all that added context,
snark.
all of the background for this stuff wasn't so some boomer would know who these are.
Yeah.
It's so the 12 normies on the jury, some of which may be familiar with the content or recognize the names, will know, oh, they are a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You're playing to public opinion now because he knows how bad these people look to people outside their bubble.
Yeah. If you ever
beyond cooked.
Are in a legal situation and you can choose between a judge or a jury, don't pick the jury.
Yeah, pick the judge.
Pick the judge. Always pick the judge.
If it's a civil case, if it's a criminal case, you want the jury.
Yeah,
most
the jury,
of the time.
You can.
It is dependent.
It depends.
You don't really have a choice in a criminal case, though. It's always going to be a jury. Almost always going to be a jury.
I know.
Especially if it's a violent crime, because you have a constitutional right to that. But in a civil case, always go for the judge. The judge understands the law better than anyone on that jury will, because
the jury's gonna
he's a judge.
Make emotional.
Yeah, they're going to get emotionally involved. They're going to have,
biases.
especially if it's two famous figures like this. There's a good chance that they may already have preconceived notion going in.
Yeah.
That they can be swayed. That they might have biases.
That whole failed nepo baby thing is gonna.
That's gonna weigh well
That's
on him.
gonna.
And the fact that he was so bitter and that he switched his political party just to try to avenge his mom, and then lied to get on the ballot, then got kicked off the ballot, then blamed the Democratic Party. So better hope there ain't no Democrats on that jury.
Or any people who have been working towards any degree whatsoever.
Actually, the way that they did that, the way that they explained his backing, it doesn't matter. If the jury is filled with Democrats or Republicans, the Republicans are going to be mad at him because he flipped to Democrat just because they lost an election.
Yeah.
That he had no backbone, that he's a spineless fucking snake. Yeah. And the Democrats are going to be mad that you LARPed as a member of our party.
And then blamed us.
And then blamed us for your failure.
Yeah. For something.
So he's managed to piss off both parties.
Yes. And like I said, anyone who has been working their ass off to finish a degree, and this bitch right here.
So this dude was handed all of life's opportunities on a silver platter.
Yep.
And he threw them away to live stream on Twitch as a Hassan waiting room, as a waiting room for a millionaire.
Yep.
Who's spreading terrorist propaganda, because they're gonna spoiler alert.
Yeah, they're gonna bring that shit up.
No, they're not gonna bring it up. The nuke itself is submitted as evidence.
Yeah.
They're going to play the video to the jury.
Yeah,
they're gonna watch the nuke in court.
Yeah.
It's submitted as Exhibit H. It is evidence in court. Yeah. They have to show it to the jury, and the jury, after watching that and then giving all that added context to it, she's beyond cooked, dude. She is beyond cooked. Well, Kaceytron, enjoy your bankruptcy. Get ready to clip me, guys, because Kaceytron, I might be able to save you from bankruptcy. Might be. That all depends on you. Ethan Klein, should this video make it in front of you, I have a suggestion. I know that Kaceytron, Denims, and Frogan will all be desperate to settle, as well as you know that. I offer you a condition for their settlement that will not bankrupt them, so that you can beat the narrative that you're only trying to take money from small creators, and would benefit everyone in the field of fair use. I think that you should settle with each and every one of these content creators under one condition, and that condition be that each one of those creators waive their right to fair use from here on out. They will never be allowed to react to any content in any shape, form, or fashion ever again. They are waiving their right to fair use in exchange for keeping all of their money and not having to pay you. Now, whether or not they will still have a career after that, you could not take the blame for. They would only be allowed to make content on their own merits. They would sink or swim all on their own. That is my suggestion for how to properly end this case, for the best way to set the new standard for fair use, and to prove that fair use is important, and that content creators who use it properly will benefit, and those who abuse it will lose it.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, there's your end of the clip. So I want to thank all you wonderful witches for watching. That is where we're going to end this here. Thanks for watching this video. We'll be reading the other 2 court documents. So those of you who want all the information from the documents but don't want to read it yourself, or don't understand the legalese, or want somebody to read it to you, I am happy to act as your audiobook. So be sure to sub to the channel and have notifications turned on. I'll be doing those over the course of the next few nights. I will also be reading them live if you'd like to add your own commentary to it. We do these live streams roughly every night between 11 and 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and the clips are usually posted within the next day or 2. So anyways, thanks for watching this one, and I hope to see you guys on stream. Have a good one, everybody.